A first bit of action for Christopher Wray, but Newcastle stay inside the Arsenal half. It's played quickly forward by Lee, and that's a lovely ball now from Adams to Overmars, and for me, he could be the key man for Arsenal over on the far side, and there he goes down the line, taking Pistoni, the Italian, with him. Pistoni gets the touch, and already Arsenal have a corner.
Yeah, just a simple ball as well, wasn't it, to Overmars. Immediately Barton ran towards him. He took Pistoni on, did Overmars, and although he's very, very quick, Pistoni's just as quick, Matt. He's a leggy quick, and he will always be able to get a touch or a toe in to stop him.
So here they come from the back, Keown and Adams, and the corner kick to be taken by Overmars, far side. This is the Arsenal left, into the area, away by Pearce, but it'll fall to the men in red and white again over on the far side, and Overmars is there, and immediately two players come back from Newcastle, headed away by Howie at the back. Howie wasn't in everybody's starting lineup for this game today, but Albert is on the bench, and Howie is back in the Newcastle defence now. Foul by Parler. Referee Paul Durkin has given the free kick and lets Newcastle take it from a rolling ball. It's with Pearce, Batty rather, appeals for handball, and it'll be a fairly frenetic start, I imagine, Mark.
Well, I think it's a case, certainly in those midfield areas, of who's going to get the tackles in early, who's going to try and dominate. I thought actually the challenge between Shearer and Parler was nothing wrong with it on both counts. They both went in very, very high, but, you know, the referee should just let play on, but he's as nervous as everybody else.
Well, Stuart Pearce scored in the 91 final for Forest on the losing side against Spurs. He takes the free kick, he aims it towards Shearer, headed away by Petit for Arsenal. Back inside the Arsenal area it goes, but Adams is spotting the danger and feeds Overmars across on the far side, and they do need to get tight on Overmars. Don't forget, in Scotland, it's already Hearts 1, Rangers 0 in the Scottish Cup final, which apparently started a wee bit early, and Hearts with the penalty there. So Hearts 1, Rangers 0, that game being played at Parkhead.
You're saying Rangers weren't ready then?
Well, it looked like they were cold, but we could do with something like that here, really, couldn't we? We could do with an early goal. It always helps in the cup final. But as Arsenal try and settle down here, Adams clouts it long to the far side, and that's laid off by Ray, aimed towards Overmars, but Newcastle have won it back in midfield, and now it's back inside their own half, and I don't think Shea Given's touched the ball yet away to the right. And now Stuart Pearce below us on the Newcastle left. He's hammered that down the line, looking for Gary's speed. Keown wants it to go out of play, and eventually it does. Not sure if I've given you the Newcastle bench. Also very experienced: John Barnes, Steve Watson, Philip Albert, Andreas Anderson, and the goalkeeper Shaka Hislop. Now Martin Keown up to the halfway line, looking for Anelka. In comes Davisas, the first Greek to play in an FA Cup final, and out of play for an Arsenal throw-in. So many World Cup pointers here, of course, for Glenn Hoddle today. He'll be shuddering, I'm sure, every time the ball goes anywhere near Shearer and Keown and Adams. He'll be looking at Lee and Batty as well, of course, and looking too at the performance of David Seaman in goal. The game's still to settle down. We've played 5 minutes already in the first half, and Lee Dixon, who missed the last game of the season at Aston Villa, takes a throw into Arsenal down the near side. In comes Stuart Pearce and knocks it on to Speed. Speed to Batty, and Newcastle have started quite well here. Ketspire feeding Lee, the captain, on the edge of the centre circle. Now Pistoni sorts his legs out and hits it to the far side, but that's a poor ball, and Winterburn's underneath it for Arsenal. And now here they go. Overmars on the halfway line, checked by Davisas. Overmars is still presenting problems, and Pistoni was aware and gives the back pass to Given, and there's his first touch, and it's not very convincing. He sliced that ball out of play.
Just a battle for pace with those two, Pistoni and Overmars. You said before that Barton will try and get very, very close, but certainly the best weapon I think that Arsenal have today, Mike, is Overmars, and here you get quite a bit of space at Wembley. If you can get the ball to him, he'll run at Pistoni all day.
A foul by Davisas, who went through on Anelka, and a free kick to Arsenal almost halfway inside the Newcastle half, defending the tunnel end. Winterburn takes it, scoops it straight through to the goalkeeper. What was that all about? Straight through to Shea Given, reminding you in Scotland already in the cup final, it's Hearts 1, Rangers 0. Rangers, who missed out in the Championship to Celtic, and now behind in that farewell game for so many people in the Rangers setup. Now Batty, good skills from Batty, finds the ball-headed Ketspire, clearly the first Georgian to play in an FA Cup final. That's too long, and neither side yet, Mark, have got the passing right at all.
No, I would think at the moment, though, maybe Newcastle have just shaded it. More of their players seem to have had a touch. They look like they've got the more concentrated formation at the moment. Unfortunately there for Ketspire, because it was the right ball in the circumstances. Robert Lee breaking free from midfield, but hit too late really for Lee's run. He'd already gone.
Arsenal playing patiently at the back, and then a long ball again from Keown. Didn't work, and across came Howie, who's had so many injury problems, of course, since Euro 96. Long ball back inside the Arsenal half. It glances off Keown to Vieira. Vieira and Petit trying to get a foothold in midfield, but it won't be easy against Batty and Lee. And now Winterburn, and again that's an edgy pass even from somebody as experienced as Nigel Winterburn, who turns away rather embarrassed, doesn't find Overmars on the far side, and Pistoni to take it. And Stuart Pearce, apparently already inside the first 6 or 7 minutes, has got a cut over the corner of the left eye, and if that starts to bleed, he'll have to have that seen to. The referee won't allow him to continue if that becomes a problem for Stuart Pearce. Now Arsenal tidying up inside their own half. It's with Adams. Adams hits it right-footed and slips. Still manages to find Dixon. Excellent ball to this near side. Dixon short of the halfway line. Down the line, looking for Parlour to chase. Across comes Howie. Parlour's inside the area. Howie gets his leg in and concedes a corner.
Yeah, good play by Howie, I think, Mike. He's along with Pistoni, very, very quick, which is why he's been included instead of Albert. But quite simple ball by Dixon. Parlour breaking forward on that right-hand position. Now the referee's seen Pearce's cut.
Right.
I think he'll have the trainer on for him.
And Shay Gibbon in the Newcastle goal mops his brow on this hard afternoon as Stuart Pearce now has to be cleaned up.
Now the players will be absolutely delighted, as we talked about the heat, and now and again, 7 or 8 minutes underway, they'll be glad of a little breather, if of course they can get any air down there.
Well, Pearce looks as if he's done a few rounds in the ring, actually, as he's getting the attention. It won't be a problem for him, I'm sure, though. But he's just having that sorted. And I should tell you, by the way, we haven't mentioned the 2 other officials today, because it's just as big a day for them as anyone else here. We have Bill Jordan from Hertfordshire and Philip Joslin from Nottinghamshire running the line. And should they need another official, well, Graham Barber's down there patrolling along as well. Just looking at the 2 bench, Kenny Dalglish in his suit stands to the left of Arsene Wenger. Down there, Terry McDermott, who played in a couple of cup finals, lost them both with Newcastle and Liverpool. Mark chuckles. Mark played in 1 final, 86, and won a double. Here comes the corner. Emmanuel Petit takes it left-footed. Gibbon doesn't come for it, and it's turned over in the end by Gibbon from Tony Adams. But a spot of pushing, I think, over on the far side, and the free kick's been given. Yeah, free kick's been given for a push by Adams on Davizaz, I think. He just stuck his arms out, blocked him from getting the ball, and Davizaz fell over, and Gibbons didn't know that, and he had to make the save. Good ball in, certainly. Actually, there's a bit of experience down there on the bench in terms of cup finals, because Arsene Wenger's got Pat Rice with him, who played in 5 finals with Arsenal, which is something of a record. The kick taken by Newcastle. Keown's quickly in, beating speed in the air, but now Batty knocks it down this near side. And Arsenal look to Ray Parlour, moving inside the Newcastle half. Pearce has been stitched up, and Parlour plays it forward, just held onto it a little too long, and Nelka had moved offside, and that's going to be a free kick to Newcastle, which Pearce just knocks square some 5 or 6 yards and finds Steve Howie. So Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0 in the cup final at Wembley. Already Rangers trailing to a penalty against Hearts, as Davizaz is blocked by Ray, and Newcastle have to start all over again from the back. Shay Gibbon to take it. 10 minutes and very uneventful so far. Yeah, I think Newcastle are in more of the play, but the final ball for them at the moment isn't particularly happening for them. I think what's happening with Arsenal is, as soon as the boys get it at the back, they know exactly where to deliver it. Parlour broke down the right-hand side. We had Overmars broke down the left. Arsenal looked dangerous in the early minutes, and yet they haven't had that many attacks. Newcastle all the play without really forcing themselves into decent opportunities. Very often the cup final starts like this, very tentative, and when there's a break in play next, we'll bring in Frank Clark for his observations after 10 minutes here. The ball is taken on the chest by Pearce, seeing quite a lot of the early action. Down the centre it goes. Of course, it's Adams against Shearer. Every time it will be the ball is played long into the Arsenal half. It's now centre circle, but in goes Batty, knocking it back to his defender Howie, and there's the long back pass to Shay Gibbon. Gibbon plays football and then clears right-footed in towards the centre circle. Keown is beaten in the air by speed. Now it'll drop to Ketspire, but immediately 3 Arsenal players around him. But somehow Ketspire emerges with the ball. Still Ketspire, 25 yards out, left-footed shot, just past Seaman's left-hand post. And let's have some early thoughts from you, Frank Clark.
Yeah, well, the game's certainly been very, very cagey. I'm quite surprised to see Newcastle line up like this with Stewart at left-back. I think the days of Stuart Pearce being a top-class left-back have long gone, and I expected him to play alongside the centre-back. I think Ray Parlour could be an important player for Arsenal today.
Thank you, Frank. Certainly it wasn't the Newcastle lineup that I wrote down on my way in here today. In fact, I didn't even have Howie in the side either. I thought that Watson might play. I thought that Albert might play, but just about shows how much I know about it, I suppose. Clearance by David Seaman. Arsenal now to the far side. And Winterburn. Arsenal with this typical patient build-up from the back. Nobody better than Adams. Adams again slips as he parts with the ball. Newcastle look to Barton, who's been very quiet over on that right-hand side. An Arsenal fan in his youth, Warren Barton. Now Batty's beaten Vieira, and Vieira's gone down following the challenge from Batty. The game continues. Vieira has a problem, but Batty couldn't find Shearer. Now Vieira gets up, but what a challenge that was by Batty to take the ball away from Vieira. Vieira was certainly affected by it. He's talking to the referee. He wasn't happy with it. Next time the ball goes anywhere near those two, it'll be interesting. And Adams once more is the calming influence at the back for Arsenal. Now Vieira. This time Batty's not going to challenge him. Vieira hits that. It's got a lot of pace on it. Don't think Overmars will get it. Yes, he has. He's kept it in against Pistone. Pistone manages to get goal side of the Dutchman, though, and Gibbons' clearance. And it was a hurried clearance, really. Doesn't find anybody in black and white. And Winterburn can't keep it in, and it's still quite scrappy. Batty again. Vieira couldn't get close to him. As Newcastle are loose, speed gives the ball away. Lots of mistakes early on by these two sides in the heat at Wembley as Parler overruns the ball. But Ketsbaya's touch was poor, and Parler's got it back again. And Ray is trying to stay onside. Ray Parler's shot takes a deflection, and now Anelka is offside. And it's a free kick to Newcastle. 0-0 still.
Well, just symptomatic of both teams at the moment. Gain possession, win possession, give the ball away. Parler got possession, gave it away, got it back to himself, cut inside from a kind of inside right position, decided to hit it left-footed. Eventually the move broke down. But Newcastle really guilty party. They gave the ball away, and kind of, a third into their own half, which they can't afford to do. Certainly not today with the heat, and also the fact, of course, it's Arsenal. They've got pace on the break.
BBC Radio 5 Live and World Service at the Cup final. We're 13 minutes underway in the game. Not too much incident yet. Arsenal have won a couple of corners. Newcastle with Stuart Pearce playing as an authentic left back today, and Pearce hits it about 20 yards into the Arsenal half. Shearer heads it on, and Ketsbaya is now offside. And well, it's just the machine, Arsenal, Adams and Keown, bringing them all up. They've done that millions of times. And David Seaman, who just watched that one shot go past his post a few minutes ago, prepares to take this free kick for his side, some 15 yards outside the penalty area. On form, of course, it should be no contest. Arsenal took 34 more points than Newcastle in the Premiership, but who knows today? As Ray Parler with his right foot tries to work it into the area, a little tidying up here for Robert Lee to do, and he slides it to this near side. He wanted to avoid the corner kick, and in the end he concedes a throw-in by the corner flag, and Lee Dixon's already on the scene to take it. None of the centre-backs have gone into the area, not anticipating a long one here. It's thrown in towards Ray, but Pearce got in the way, and then Batty concedes another throw-in.
We'll see the way Mike Batty played it against Dixon. I think the referee spotted it, has he? No,
well, he's just saying to Batty, calm down.
Well, Batty was right. He's wrong to berate the linesman, but he was right. It was Newcastle's throw.
Right, throw into Arsenal. Dixon to take it. 10 yards from the corner flag. Batty, we hope, will be on best behaviour. Sent off 3 times this season. This is the cup final. Now Martin Keown can't get the ball down the line to Dixon. Reminding you, of course, Hearts are 1 up against Rangers already in the Scottish Cup final. That early penalty for Hearts. The ball is still inside the Newcastle half. It's very congested, very compressed. And now a foul this time by Speed on Vieira. And clearly Newcastle have targeted Vieira. Every time it's going anywhere near him, he's given no time to settle. He's got this free kick 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. And he's going to wait for a few more players to go forward. Adams is staying back inside the centre circle. It's Patrick Vieira shuffling through the centre circle. Then it's a back pass to Adams. Back again to Vieira. Arsenal back where they started. A long one down the centre is cut out by Dabisas, who's been a great acquisition from Olympiacos. And still Arsenal. They haven't had too much early possession yet. Vieira, long one, trying to get it over the Newcastle defence. Header back by Pistone. Given just about saves it, does he? Not sure. No, referee's given a corner to Arsenal over on the far side.
What happened was Pistone was always sure what he was going to do, which was head it back to Given. As he was about to head it, Mike, he saw Petit out the corner of his eye, and he just softened the header more than anything. Of course, it made it go out of play.
A corner kick to Arsenal. No Ian Wright, no Bergkamp. And here it comes, another corner taken by Mark Overmars. Header down in the end was by Adams, I think, or was it Adams or Anelka? It's gone wide anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's a goal kick to Newcastle. But without Bergkamp and Wright, how do you see Arsenal? Do you see them still posing the same threats?
I think they pose the same threat because I think with the pace of Ray, Anelka and Overmars, they can afford to sit back for a while. And today, of course, with the conditions, the sweltering heat, they might have to do that for a stage of the game. But that won't worry them because they'll hit Newcastle on the break.
In terms of the history of the game, of course, this is one of the great fixtures, Arsenal and Newcastle. They've both won the Cup 6 times, but it's been such a long time since Newcastle did it. the days of Bob Stokoe, Jimmy Schooler and Jackie Milburn. But not a great start to this final. I hope it's going to get better. It's certainly very hot down there, and Mark was saying do not underestimate what it must be like for those players down there. Many of them will be going to the World Cup, so this is good preparation for them. The ball is thrown back to Keown, back inside the Arsenal half. Seaman away to the left, just gazing on here as a spectator. Neither goalkeepers had to do too much so far. Dixon's back header. Pearce scrambling against Parler. It's messy and it's scrappy. Parler again. Whistle's gone again. Pearce against Ray. Is it down there? Tugging and pushing, and another free kick. And a few too many of those so far here, as Arsenal may have to get Gary Lewin, the physiotherapist, to come on. And Arsene Wenger, we see for the first time, is just stepping towards the touchline here, just to get a closer look at things.
I think Ray's got a dislocated shoelace, Mike. There's nothing wrong with him.
Well, the big cheer is for the man in the white hat going round the touchline, and that's Ian Wright, who you can be sure has got some kind of T-shirt as well under his Arsenal shirt today, just in case he comes on and scores a winning goal. So he's warming up. I'm sure we'll see him at some point in the game. And Arsenal's free kick eventually taken, and the ball is rolled across, and they're conserving energy here, noticeably. The ball with Keown. Keown just inside the Newcastle half. Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0. Looking to try and find a Anelka. In came Dabisas. Ray won the ball back again. Now Parler. But Parler wants a bit too much time there, and Gary Speed's going to deny him that. Speed in the left-back position, trying to get away from Parler and Ray. In the end, it's Ray's challenge. He's okay off that injury. And another throw into Newcastle. But the game is still yet to find any kind of rhythm here.
No rhythm whatsoever. It's just very, very scruffy. Teams winning the ball back, which is both intent on doing so, and as soon as they win the ball back, they end up giving the ball away. Consequently, it's a spectacle. We haven't got a spectacle, but it will get better. And, you know, as the game goes on, players get more tired, there'll be more mistakes, and eventually I think that's when the chances will come.
Well, only a matter of weeks ago, over Easter, Arsenal swept Newcastle aside with disdain, really, at Highbury in the Premiership game. They really put them away very comfortably. But we expect this to be much, much tighter today, as Pearce pumps the ball inaccurately again down the line, and that wasn't good stuff. And it's another throw to Arsenal on the near side, and the ball's probably spent almost as much time out of play as in play so far. We've played 19 minutes, 0-0, and nothing like a chance for anybody yet.
Well, what about, I was just going to make the point about Shearer, Mike. I don't think he's had one decent ball played up to him. All he's had to do is scratch for a couple of headers against Keown and Adams, and then a couple of challenges. So he must be thinking, hold on, 20 minutes, I've not really had a decent touch.
He misses Gillespie in this setup, doesn't he?
Well, he misses that width, that pace from the right-hand side, and of course the fact that, you know, regardless of Gillespie and his ups and his downs, he will get crosses in for you.
Adams thought he was going to stumble for a moment on the edge of the area, and Mr. Durkin's whistle's gone again. Arsenal are trying to take the free kick 10 yards ahead of where the incident happened. Ian Wright still getting more applause than the game's getting, and Arsenal have taken the free kick, and it's back again with Adams, the captain. Adams flaps his fingers forward and then doesn't hit the long pass. Instead, he finds Keown. Keown in now to Vieira on the halfway line. Back again to Adams, but Newcastle have got everybody behind the ball now, and this is going to take something quite enterprising from Arsenal to open them up. Adams into Vieira. Vieira holds, gets round the challenge, finds Parler. Parler in a bit of a tangle initially, then manages to knock it to the near side to Dixon. Back again to Parler. Lovely running from Ray Parler in the area. Parler going round Howard, headed over the bar by Nicolas Anelka. Came onto him very sharp. Couldn't control the header, and at the end of an excellent move from Arsenal, which began in their own half, the ball is headed over for a Newcastle goal kick.
Marvellous play by Arsenal, the best move of the match by far. In fact, there hadn't been another move really. Vieira, the instigator, Dixon, Parler all took control, and I thought Parler was running the ball away, and Howie looked as though favourite to tip the ball away for a corner, but Parler still got his cross in, an excellent chance for Arsenal to take the lead.
Well, that's much more like it. That's much more like Arsenal, certainly, as Gary Speed can't control the header following the clearance from Gibbon. And Pistoni charges onto the ball inside the centre circle. Gets a dreadful return from Batty, and although Pistoni was out of position, Barton was the covering player, and Anelka can't capitalise over on the far side. And it's a Newcastle throw, a little bit of shade and shadow over on the far side for Warren Barton, playing wide on the Newcastle right, in the absence, of course, of Keith Gillespie. Barton to leave the ball to Pistoni after Di Matteo's heroics a year ago for Chelsea. In the FA Cup, we have yet another Italian playing this year. Throw by Pistoni. Good throw in the end. Barton juggling with the ball up against Petit, but still Newcastle not able to really involve Shearer as much as they would like, and it's an Arsenal throw in far side the left.
And also Kitsbaya, Mike, as well. He's currently in a kind of inside left position at the moment, and I'm not quite sure he knows exactly where to play. He's one of those instinctive footballers. The ball comes to him and he dribbles past people. He just sees feet. I don't think he sees the bigger picture half the time.
At the moment, they're just cancelling each other out, especially in midfield. And the only flow we've had so far, really, with that move from Arsenal a couple of minutes ago, which ended with Anelka heading over the bar. Now, Petit looking to try and play the ball down the centre. Pearce was quick there, and he had to be, because both Anelka and Ray were threatening. But now suddenly Arsenal have stepped up a gear here. The ball is with Winterburn over on the left-hand side. Gets rid of it quickly. Into Petit. Petit and Vieira trying to control midfield against Lee and Batty. That's wasted by Vieira. And the ball on the edge of the Newcastle area. And now Ket Spire, the man that Mark Lawrenson was talking about a few moments ago, trying to get involved in the game. Reminding you still, Hearts 1, Rangers 0 in the Scottish Cup final at Parkhead. Now, good play by Newcastle. Ket Spire was well found there by Speed. Gives the ball to Batty near side. Batty immediately squeezed by Ray Parlour. The ball is back with Pearce. Pearce down the line, and Shearer gets a touch. Shearer up against Dixon. He goes to the ground. The referee says get up, and here come Arsenal on the break. Shearer's looking for a free kick, but Vieira's got it forward to Anelka. Anelka is taken just outside the area by Davisas. It's with Parlour, very effective early on, and then wasted by Parlour. Barton will have to clear it. It's the halfway point of what has been so far a very disappointing cup final, but lots of time for it to change. And here's Alan Green.
No, it's not been very good, has it? But Arsenal have begun to take control after some, let's say, aggressive tackling from Newcastle in the early minutes. Seemed to be aimed at putting the Arsenal midfield players out of the game. Played forward to Overmars into the penalty area, and he stabs it through the legs of the goalkeeper. Given didn't get there in time. It was only a half chance for Overmars. He got beyond Pistone, shrugged the ball down into the penalty area. He could only been 10 yards out. And he reacted quicker than Shay Given, and Arsenal are one major step towards the double. The goal for Mark Overmars.
Absolute out of nothing, Alan. Just a ball delivered in from Petit over the head of Pistone. Overmars was on the inside of Pistone. Why Overmars let him get there, I don't know. Davisas wasn't in connection with the two players, and eventually when Given came out, Overmars with his pace, he'd just got himself in a position where he could settle down and drove the ball under Given. An excellent goal, certainly from Overmars. What was that, 16 for the season for him?
I was about to say, actually, after a couple of promising runs from him in the first few minutes, he'd been very quiet, very, very quiet. But there you go.
But it was you know, for Newcastle to concede, it's a nothing goal, really. Just a ball helped over your full-back, and it's one you expect, certainly the centre-backs to be in control. And for me, Pistone in the wrong position.
Anelka chasing after the ball. The defenders are crossing the far side, helped out by Pistone, and Paul Durkin from 30 yards decides that's a foul by Anelka. So it's a free kick to Newcastle. We played 24 minutes. Sorry, Mike. It gets to him. Sorry, mate.
Mike said he's not bothered, I think, with his role.
Well, what's that gesture then? 1-0 to the Arsenal, as the crowd, the Arsenal supporters at least, are reminding the Newcastle fans. And Frank Clark's just sitting a couple of yards to my left. Frank, not a spectacular opening 23 minutes, but I think that's a crucial breakthrough.
Yeah, it's crucial, no doubt about that. And a bad goal for Newcastle to concede, as Mark said. Very simple build-up. But hopefully it will open the game up and liven things up.
Newcastle have to change their approach. Batty's on the ball at the moment. This was a dreadful challenge earlier, by the way, on Vieira. Absolutely dreadful. High, straight through, studs up onto the ankle. Not even punished for the referee. Newcastle play the ball into the Arsenal penalty area. A little long beyond Shearer. Ket Spire runs after it. Hasn't kept it in play, though, and it's a goal kick.
Clever block by Lee Dixon as well, I think it was, on Alan Shearer, looking to get his head on the ball if he could have got on the cross. And I don't think Newcastle will change yet, Alan. I think they'll wait a long time before they decide to change. Kenny's not that kind of manager, very kind of pragmatic. He'll just say, sit there. Well, first thing he'll think, well, for the next 10 or 15 minutes, we can't concede another. Otherwise, of course, we're out of the cup final. But, you know, defensively, it's such an awful goal to concede. Just one long ball through the middle. Great Overmars, marvellous pace, but really, you know, black and white shirt should have been all around him.
Batty, good overhead clearance to Shearer. Excellent control by the England captain. Finding Barton. And back to Lee, the captain. Pistone. Negative football by Newcastle. You know, the pass from Batty set them moving forward, and then there were 3 successive passes backwards.
Well, it's 3 forward, 1 back at the moment. The great problem is that, you know, where's Ket Spire in all the build-up? Shearer will always be where you expect him to be, and as a midfield player, you know if he can deliver the ball in, then he'll be there. But Ket Spire could be the key really today. He's going to have to look to maybe run past one or two of the Arsenal defenders, just to give his midfield players and back players a bit of an option. Shearer will always drop short for it. Let Kitspaia get on the last shoulder of the last defender.
The trouble is that the service to Shearer is rather funneled. There's nothing from the wide positions.
No, but the problem is, Alan, that, you know, both Keown and Adams know that the ball's going to be played into him, not over the top of them, so they can afford to get very, very tight to him. That's why Kitspaia is the key.
Winterburn helps it upfield. Anelka's after it. Howie's there first. The pass back to Gibbon. He'll be feeling not so clever. I wasn't blaming the goalkeeper, but it was just such a scrappy goal to concede on such a big stage. Pistoni on the far side. Neat pass infield to Lee, and the run was made by Speed. Keown spotted it, stepped forward, helped out by Winterburn. Winterburn's clearance to Parlour. There's no one down the Arsenal right at the moment because Parlour's in field. So he plays the pass back to Dixon. Excellent ball forward, and Ray does well too. Finding Parlour. Good football from Arsenal, the Premiership champions and maybe double winners of 1998. They lay it to the far side, and it's fed through by Winterburn, but intercepted by Barton. And Barton, midway inside his own half, slides the ball to the near side, though Kitspaia has to retreat to keep the possession for Newcastle. Exchanges passes with Pearce. And now Kitspaia. Oh, careless ball from him. Head of Batty, and it's as well Lee was alert. Got in there before Overmars, and Newcastle still have it. Dabizas. Back to Lee. Fed to the right to Pistoni. Up over the halfway line. Slides the ball forward. Should have been a simple clearance from Adams. Wasn't. Collected by Shearer. Shearer's crossed into the penalty area, just over the head of Speed. Drops to Kitspaia, onto his right foot, shoots straight at Seaman.
That's Kitspaia for you. Ball eventually came to him, cut inside Parlour, half a yard on him, whipped a right footer. That will certainly get the Toon Army going.
Well, they need something. We played 28 minutes of the Cup final, the 1998 FA Cup final, brought to you by 5 Live and the BBC World Service. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0.
I just thought with Arsenal that Vieira was starting to get a bit of room. Vieira and Petit, just about 5 minutes before they actually scored the goal, Alan, it's as though they'd sat back, they'd had a look at Newcastle, see what they had to offer, and they were slowly starting to get the ball down in midfield and find the men. Now, of course, we're scoring the goal, the confidence is up, everybody wants the ball, and at the moment, Newcastle are doing all the chasing, and it's hot.
Seaman, long clearance, upfield. Anelka jumped towards Howie. Howie watched the ball, headed away. Parlour heads it down towards Ray. Lee under pressure. Parlour not Parlour, Petit wins again. All to Ray. Now it might be Parlour. And Parlour left his foot in a little high on Barton. Referee spotted it, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
The referee had already given a free kick against Barton, I think, for Barton for the challenge before him, but it's great for Arsenal that they can sit there. They don't have to do the chasing. They can get those three in front of the back four, Parlour, Vieira, Petit. We can see them now almost in a line. They say, right, try and play through us, over us, around us, do what you want. We're going to leave the three up front. If we get the ball, we're going to be running at you.
The thing is, they lost their last 2 Premiership games when, of course, it didn't matter. You know, at Liverpool, particularly, they put out the reserves at Anfield, and then at Villa on the final day. It didn't matter. What really mattered was in the run into the Premiership title, Seaman conceded, 2 goals?
Yeah, and also, and since they won the league, nobody really, apart from Bergkamp, has got injured, Alan. That was also most important for them.
So what can Newcastle do about it? A goal died. Half an hour played here at Wembley. Kitspaia cuts in from the left-hand side. Fine speed. Might run to Kitspaia again. Kitspaia just toe pokes it forward towards Shearer, but Adams steps in, clears to Vieira. Vieira hits it upfield, and Nelka chases after that. Look at the pace of the young Frenchman, getting there ahead of Howie. Howie slips. Ray waits inside the penalty, and Nelka shoots on goal. Optimistically, it's high over the crossbar.
Yeah, it was actually Dabizas, wasn't it? I think Dabizas was going to the ball, almost lollipopping around. He was looking at Pearce thinking, well, shall you go or I go, or after you, Claude? And eventually, of course, the pace of Anelka built himself up into full stride, and he just gave Dabizas a little nudge with the shoulder, and he got the ball off him.
The ball's just over the halfway line as far as Newcastle are concerned, not for long. But it's back to Barton. Barton forward to Shearer. Shearer to Batty. Batty feeds it, and Speed is offside, making the run too early.
But that's the kind of thing they have to do. They don't have to get caught offside. But that's the runs that Speed has to make when the ball's down the right-hand side. Rob Lee also has got to do a certain amount of that from the inside right position when the ball's down the left-hand side. Because if you make those runs from midfield and the pass is right, it's so difficult for players to pick you up because you're already at full pace when you're coming onto the ball.
Well, we're still 2/3 of the game to go. But I wonder, with a scoreline of 1-0 to Arsenal, are we on for the third double in just 5 years? 2 of them, of course, to Manchester United. And this would be Arsenal's second double. Petit, poor ball by him, behind Vieira. Shearer's there, Kitspaia, Lee to his left, wretched pass from Kitspaia. Easy interception by Dixon. Dixon back to Seaman.
Like a communication, wasn't it? Kitspaia and Lee.
Seaman with a clearance up to the halfway line. Ray beaten in the air by Howie. A little ball juggling episode there from Batty, and then he flicks it away to the far side of the field. Hearts still leading Rangers 1-0 in the Scottish Cup final. And Newcastle have the ball here at Wembley Stadium. A goal down to the Arsenal. Adams clears. Anelka evades Debbie's ass, but the ball seemed to squirt through to Lee, and Lee to the near side, and Pearce. Pearce back to Howie. Howie midway inside his own half, and he's thinking, well, what's ahead of me? Not a lot, that's the answer. Batty, back to Debbie's ass. Careless ball from him to the far side, and Pistoni. And it's an interception on the far side by Winterburn. Anelka tackled there by Davies ass. I thought it was a free kick, but the referee says play on. Batty for Newcastle. 12 minutes, or 13 minutes rather, to half-time. Lee, the Newcastle skipper. But it's all sideways movement. There's no penetration at the moment from the Geordie boys. Howie comes forward, though, running, and then lays the pass to Shearer. He slips as well. Why are they all slipping out there? And the ball is through to Seaman.
It's just really underlines the problem for Newcastle, is that, you know, Arsenal are going to let you play in front of them. That's not a problem to them whatsoever until Newcastle can come up with a solution, which is Ketspire running off Shearer but running behind Arsenal, and then it can eventually stretch Arsenal's defence. At the moment they can just get very tight.
Pick by Lee. Overmars there into the penalty area, forced a little wide, and then Lee gets back to retrieve his own mistake, and the damage should be cleared from Newcastle. Pistoni hacks it towards the halfway line. Terrible ball from Lee. That could have been 2-0, and this cup final could have been over. It's not. The ball's out of play on the far side of the field. It's still far too scrappy for my liking. Not great to watch. But the Arsenal fans won't care about that at the moment. And to be fair, Arsenal, as well as being effective in the run into the Championship, were also highly entertaining. Thrown in the far side. Winterburn to take it. Overmars shot outside his shorts close by, but it's thrown further towards Ray, and then there's a foul on Ray, according to the referee.
Sandwich.
Barton and Lee. And it's a free kick to Arsenal now. 20 yards inside the Newcastle half, down the left-hand side. Keown and Adams hang back. Petit waits. Parler's up on the edge of the penalty area. Simple free kick tap to the left of Winterburn. Now Petit. Overmars forward, and that's not a good ball from Petit. A simple clearance by Pearce, and the header down by Keown for Arsenal to the Arsenal skipper Adams. Adams away to the far side, and Winterburn. Petit ahead of him. Adams alongside. Adams gets the ball. Now Vieira, and Vieira to Keown, and there's no question about it. They'd settled before the goal, but now Arsenal have just got themselves into a neat, simple rhythm.
Rhythm is the key, and they're dictating the tempo of the game as well.
Clever little jump there by Adams to make sure that Shearer didn't get far off the ground as the ball was played in towards the England captain. So it's upfield, stripped by the defender, and Anelka. Paul Durkin says that Gabizas was fouled.
Yeah, he was fouled. I think Anelka, if he didn't certainly touch him with his feet, he looked to pull him back straight away.
Hasn't he come on, Anelka? Let's see, the last few months in particular, Mark.
Well, I think when we first saw him, he was like a little boy, wasn't he? Old, kind of wide-eyed and looking and thinking, what's this I've come into? Then he's grown, he's playing like a very mature old pro now. 19 years of age, and he's contributed 8 goals in the closing months of the season. And you think about the injuries and suspensions to Bergkamp and the long-term injury to Wright. Well, Anelka and Ray have performed extraordinarily well. Newcastle have the ball, though, with Gary Speed. Tackle comes in from Petit. Speed evades it, plays it back to Ketspire, who's a good 30 yards behind Shearer. Infield to Batty. Batty can only run the ball to Overmars. Overmars clears, and it's going to find Ray. 20 yards short of the halfway line. Back to Dixon. And Arsenal players down injured at the moment. It's Overmars, and play continues. I'm not sure Paul Durkin spotted it. Anyway, Overmars is on his feet. Newcastle still have possession. Ketspire. Back to Lee. Lee to the far side of Pistoni, and Overmars stumbles across to make a half-hearted challenge. On it goes to Barton, left over the edge of the penalty area. Right side for Newcastle. Tackle comes in from Winterburn, and it's out of play for a throw-in. 10 minutes to half-time here on 5 Live in the BBC World Service. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0 in the FA Cup final from Wembley. The ball played in towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area, and it's run away safely and securely by Ray Parler. And Nelka's upfield, hit too long that pass surely, given out of his penalty area, and then retreated as he saw that the pass was going to reach him.
catches it, throws it out to Batty.
That's the kind of pass that Newcastle need to be looking to play to their end, Alan, just to stretch Arsenal. And Anelka's always going to look to get onto that. And, you know, the fact you can just stick it over the back of the defenders and you have somebody there who can run onto the end of it. And even if you don't get the ball back, all of a sudden the danger's away from your goal and you're, some 15, 20 yards away from your opponent's goal.
But so far this afternoon, no Gillespie, not even on the bench, and therefore no service for Shearer. Hasn't got a chance at the moment. Going to have to get much more support from his Newcastle colleagues. 1-0 to Arsenal. Given hits it upfield. It won't be kept in play by Speed. It is by Dixon. Oh, I thought it was by Dixon, but the linesman's got his flag up on the near side. It's going to be a throw-in to Newcastle United. It's about 15 yards to the left of that Arsenal penalty area, and Pearce can reach if he wants to, but we've got Shearer inside the Arsenal box at the moment and nobody else.
Warren Barton's just got there.
Burton's Burton? That was his dress sense, was it? It's Barton inside the penalty area now with Shearer and with Lee. Pearce comes forward and the throws to the edge of the penalty area. Chested back, Batty in the volley, right-footed, and it's a good 15 yards wide.
Now, it's worth an effort because you haven't really had any apart from Kitsbayer cutting in and making Seaman make a save. Generally, Seaman, as we said the other week, Ambrose Soler out into the sunshine. One save he's had to make. Back four in front of him look very, very comfortable, as do the midfield three, and when the balls are played into the front three, they look very, very dangerous, and it's all about Arsenal at the moment. They're making Newcastle work very, very hard, and that might tell the last half an hour. Plus, of course, you've got the one-goal lead. Very much Arsenal in the ascendancy at the moment.
I forgot to tell you, Kenny's not smiling anymore. Grim look on the manager's face. Wenger might be enjoying this, though. Arsenal lead 1-0. Kiln heads the ball high, dropping towards Anelka. Davizas jumps, and the Greek heads it away to the near side, and Howe, midway inside the Newcastle half, looks to the right and then looks upfield. Shearer hasn't got a colleague within 30 yards, so the ball is back to Pearce, and Pearce lifts it left-footed, and Shearer makes the run towards the near touchline. Clever flick infield towards Speed. Speed doesn't control it. Maybe it was awkward for him, and it's out of play for an Arsenal throw-in.
It's a bit better, isn't it? A better ball this time by Pearce. Good first touch by the England captain, Shearer. Unfortunately, Speed's first touch, if it had matched Shearer's, it would have taken him into that outside left position. Chance of a cross, maybe.
7 minutes to half-time. Red celebrating at the moment. Maybe premature. Arsenal lead 1-0. Anelka beaten, and Davizas on the halfway line drills it, 40, 50 yards back to his goalkeeper, Shea Given. It's all terribly negative from Newcastle United at the moment. Given out of his penalty area, and there's a right-footed pass upfield. Long, looking for Shearer. Simple header away by Keown, as Shearer made no attempt to play the ball. It drops through the clearance to Batty. Batty running to the far side, and almost inevitably with him passes backwards to Bastoni. Forward to Barton. Bastoni making a good run down the right. Barton holds up the ball well. Batty's available. Infield to Batty. Batty forward this time to Barton. And Speed had made a good run. The tackle came in from Arsenal, and Arsenal win the ball. Winterburn heads it away towards the near side. Pearce heads it forward to Shearer. 30 yards from goal. Boost from the Arsenal fans. On it goes. Tackle on Speed. Oh, free kick, says Paul Durkin. The tackle by Martin Keown, and it's just 6 yards outside the penalty area.
Yeah, there's a tackle on Speed. Speed looked to flick the ball around the corner away from Keown. I think Keown just caught Speed under the gaze of the referee.
Well, Kitsbayer, with some optimism, has come across here, but I think Alan Shearer will just say, go away, son.
No betting at Pontefract who's taking this.
Well, Kitsbayer is teeing the ball up. Pearce is there, but it seems made, it's a sort of inside left position. It seems made for the right foot of Alan Shearer. We'll see. There are 4 players in the Arsenal wall, now augmented to 5 by Overmars. Pearce is glancing. Can he whip it round the outside? Or will it be left to Shearer? Has to be Shearer. There it goes, up over the crossbar, goal kick.
Well, the first thing he had to do, of course, Shearer, was get the height to get it over the Arsenal 4-man wall, and in terms of getting the height, then he had to get the pace, but it was a good took the feet over Seaman's crossbar, and Seaman very, very quick on the balls of his feet. Knew he didn't really have to come across and make any kind of save whatsoever.
He hasn't made a save, has he?
One. Kitsbayer.
Yes, the one that the shot up straight at him. Forgotten. Easy to forget, frankly. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. The goal scored by Mark Overmars after 23 minutes, taking advantage of some slipshod defending by Newcastle United. Petit. But was high from Lee. Petit evaded him, but Newcastle win the ball inside the centre circle. Barton, who's come in field from his right midfield position. And now Pistoni takes his place on the far side as it's laid there by Speed. Forward to Lee. Pistoni available again. Played to Speed. Now Pistoni. Shearer wants a decent cross and gets an awful cross. It's behind for a goal kick.
Well, it's the first real time that Pistoni's got himself in a position the other side of Overmars. He definitely got 3 or 4 yards in Overmars. It wasn't a great ball that was played to him. I think it was by Rob Lee, and almost behind him. He had to stop. And he thought, well, I'll clip this first time. And, of course, he got so much height in it. He should have been playing for the Falcons at Harlequins tomorrow.
This is the third time these sides have met in the FA Cup final at Wembley. And Newcastle won in 1932 and again in 1952. But Arsenal are in front here with 3.5 minutes to go to half-time, courtesy of Overmars' goal. Pearce has to be careful, wasn't too careful. Parlour gets the ball first. Infielder Ray, edge of the D, shoots over the crossbar on the volley.
Clever ball in by Parlour, wasn't it? Straight into Ray. Lovely first touch by the outside of his right foot by Ray. Dropped it down, he hit it on the volley after it bounced. It's one of those that can either go in the roof of the net. Given I thought was in a good position, but fortunately for Newcastle over the bar. But that was it, Alan. Split second, 3 passes, Arsenal champs.
3 minutes to half-time. Shay Given with a goal kick for Newcastle. In front of the Arsenal fans away to our right. And it just reaches the halfway line. Headed down by Batty to Lee. Lee's pass slightly overhit to Pistoni, but Pistoni gets there and then gives the ball away carelessly. Winterburn, Deputy, good tackle by Lee again. Winning it back for Newcastle United. And then Adams steps in before Barton can latch onto a pass. And it's into the crowd.
That's why it's priceless, Adams, isn't it? You know, 2 or 3 minutes before half-time, he could bring it down and maybe look to play it out. But nah, let's knock it out. Let's get all the red shirts back and let's regroup, get ourselves in position.
Barton with a throw-in to Speed. Wide to Barton again on the far touchline. Newcastle right. Back to Pistoni.
Oh.
Chip forward. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Newcastle aren't at the races.
Well, they're not at the races, but you have to say, really, that there aren't too many options if you're a midfield player, if you're full-back in an advanced midfield position, that apart really from dropping the ball into Shearer, there's absolutely nothing, which obviously it's, you know, 3 passes forward, 2 back, another 2 forward, another 3 back, and it's just allowing Arsenal really just to regroup all the time. And they're difficult enough to play with when you've got width. The fact that you're very, very narrow is really making Newcastle's chances of making chances more difficult.
The header on by Ray from Seaman's clearance, but it's tapped back by Dabizas to his goalkeeper, Shay Given. And Given, left side of his penalty area. Can't lift the ball, of course. Hits it right-footed, up over the halfway line. Kitsbar jumps, heads it on, but it drops to Keown. And Keown flicks it forward, right-footed. And Elka doesn't chase after that one. He was in an offside position, and it's through to Given once more. It's basically as if they lined up with 5 in midfield, Newcastle, leaving Shearer on his own and hoping that Speed and Kitsby in particular charge through from midfield to support him, but it's not happening.
No, I don't think it will happen as well. Kitsby, I think, has to have a more defined role, and you know, you're 1-0 down, and I'm certain the second half they're going to have to say to Kitsby if to leave him on and play further forward, play as a 2, try and play alongside Alan Shearer and in and behind him.
That ball squeezed through to Barton and then almost picked up by Speed just outside the penalty, or by Lee rather, but Arsenal clear. Ray up to the halfway line, can't find Winterburn on the far side. Pistoni infield to Barton, good tackle by Ray from behind. Third challenge, Petit on to Overmars, and Anelka's infield. Overmars cutting in from the left, Parlour's unmarked. If it's fed back to him, here it is, right-footed, oh, high and wide, and that was a great chance.
Well, and it was always going to go to Parlour, wasn't it? Super run from midfield, timed it absolutely perfectly. There was Overmars. He couldn't see what Parlour was doing, but he had the presence of mind, a good football brain. Get his head at once he got a position to make the pass, dropped it into Parlour, and he didn't make great contact with it. But certainly from Newcastle having possession of the football, another chance for Arsenal.
Well, by the standards they set in the run into the title, they're not playing that well, Arsenal, but they're in charge.
They're completely in charge at the moment. Completely in charge. The only good thing you'd probably say from Newcastle's point of view, that half-time's going to come, and it might just upset Arsenal's rhythm.
Adams hits the ball high into the Newcastle half. Bunches once and straight through to Shay Given. It's a shame the build-up was so promising, but it's just a poor game. Poor game at the moment. Dabizas to Batty. Batty to Pistoni in the far side. That's the Newcastle right, almost on the halfway line. Back to Dabizas. And now Speed. It looks as if Newcastle are playing out time to half-time. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Dabizas hits it upfield. Shearer falls over. I don't know what he's going to get in that situation. There was no foul by Adams, and the ball is through to Seaman.
No, I wasn't too sure about that. I thought Adams was climbing all over him. I'm not too sure at all. I thought he had a very definite appeal for at least a free kick there for me.
I thought he was backing into Adams. Seaman out of his penalty area and waits to make the clearance. Upfield it goes. Anelka's after it. Pearce with a header back into his penalty area. Dabizas quickly across to head it away. Parlour heads it down, and this time Pearce's header's better, and it's cleared by Dabizas. It's half-time in Scotland, 1-0 to Hearts. A very early penalty there at Parkhead. The whistle goes for a foul on Ketsbaya. And what are you trying to point out? Martin Keown?
Yeah, I think he just caught him.
Caught him.
Yeah.
And the referee indicating as he pulls Ketsbaya to his feet that he's not convinced that he's
Good
slight
referee.
threat.
I think the referee's done well, because it was a bit few nitty-gritty tackles flying about early on, and he's one of those who doesn't really want to be noticed. In the last 20 minutes he hasn't been, so he's obviously doing his job well.
Durkin, England's World Cup referee. Pearce takes the free kick towards Shearer on the far side. Adams is across. Oh, now definitely Shearer calling. That's got to be a yellow card. And the linesman flagged. Durkin goes across, and it should be a yellow card for Alan Shearer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, it was an accident.
No, it wasn't an accident. Of course he meant it. It's one of those born out of frustration. Adams is clearing it. Shearer came into him. He caught Adams. He's not hurt him, but the referee quite rightly giving a yellow card to Shearer.
I was being sarcastic.
I know you were on.
So Shearer is booked, and Newcastle have had a very poor first half, and Arsenal deservedly lead 1-0. And I can't translate what the Arsenal supporters are calling Alan Shearer at the moment. The irony is, of course, that I'm criticising him there. They're shouting at him here. And in 3 weeks' time, we'll all be cheering him on with England. The referee blows his whistle for half-time, and here's Mark Lawrence.
Well, really, Shearer's challenge, which gave him a yellow booking for the foul on Adams, has summed up Newcastle's first half. They've been very, very poor. They tried to flood the midfield, which worked for the first 15 or 20 minutes. They were very niggardly. They had the tackles in very, very early on with Arsenal. But when you analyse Arsenal, they've broken very, very quickly. More than, 3 or 4 occasions Arsenal have done Newcastle with just the one ball. Overmars got the goal. Sloppy goal for Newcastle to concede. Arsenal in complete ascendancy until Newcastle really get people up alongside Shearer, get some width. They're never really going to trouble Arsenal in this game.
So there we are, 1-0 to Arsenal at Wembley and 1-0 to Hearts against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Celtic Park. Colin Cameron's penalty after just 2 minutes there. Well, that's all from Wembley for the time being. We'll be back for the second half, of course, but now a bulletin of world news.
Poor ball from Pistoni to the far side, but that's one element that Newcastle will look to improve on in the second half, to try and get these wide players going forward with a bit more menace. That's a goal kick to Arsenal.
Better build-up, Mike. Just a very, very poor delivery. I think that's at least 2, if not 3 occasions Pistoni's got himself in that position and just crossed it behind the goal line. But good ball into Shearer this time. We just played Pistoni in and then went to take a position for the cross, which never came, unfortunately.
Offside against Arsenal, and if you are just joining us on 5 Live in World Service, well, really, Newcastle's first half was summed up right at the end of the first half, I thought, when Alan Shearer got a yellow card out of frustration. But now, of course, he has to be very careful with this World Cup referee, Paul Durkin, in charge of the FA Cup final. And Shearer got the yellow card, didn't have any kind of opportunity in the first half, Shearer. The service to him was dreadful. And now Arsenal look to each other at the back, and eventually Winterburn takes responsibility. And then it's charged down by Robert Lee. A bit more aggression here now from Newcastle. Lee whips the ball into the area, volleyed away by Adams, who's really strolling through the first half. And Newcastle need to put him under more pressure. A little back heel from Batty to feed Lee. A bit more determination now from Newcastle. Bit better so far, as a misunderstanding between Lee and Pistoni. But at least, I mean, that was a mistake there, Mark. But, at least a little bit more determination.
But also, they got 3 or 4 black and white shirted players around the ball, something they haven't really done throughout the entire first half, Mike. I think they started quite brightly in the second half. It remains to be seen whether they can obviously continue that.
Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0, and underway, of course, in Scotland, that early penalty for Hearts against Rangers. Now Vieira, lovely first touch from the tall Frenchman, feeds Dixon over on the right-hand side, and now good running from Ray. Ray wide on the Arsenal right. This is the far side of the field in the second half. Arsenal leading 1-0, and Vieira miscontrols the pass. And it was a mistake by Vieira. Shearer's got the ball, but there are 3 Arsenal defenders around him. Shearer's bringing the ball to his near side. He doesn't seem to see Barton available, and in the end he's lost it. Overmars skips over the challenge that he got from Robert Lee and finds Petit. And now Parler controls the ball in the centre circle. It goes into the Newcastle half, but Anelka run offside, and it'll be a free kick to Newcastle.
Pretty for Arsenal that Anelka made his run too early. Could have delayed because he had another 30-40 yards of which to run onto, and quite easily Parler could just dink the ball very softly over the top.
It clouds over for about the first time, and the players will be grateful for that on this very hot day. It's Arsenal leading 1-0, and the ball is with Dabisas of Newcastle, short of the halfway line, right-footed and to the far side and behind Pearce, and all Pearce has to do now, all he can do rather, is to give the ball back to Given. It was a scrappy goal which underlined really the first half from Overmars, the man, of course, who played here for Holland and played a big part in preventing England from going to the World Cup of '94. Now a scandalous challenge by Barton on Petit, just in front of us down the near side. I think Barton's saying that Petit's going to make too much of this, but the referee Paul Durkin is going to produce the second Newcastle yellow card, and that's Warren Barton's.
Yeah, late tackle by Barton, deserved a yellow card, man. Petit's made the most of it, Mike. I think someone from RADA will be contacting him after the game.
Let us just quickly bring in Frank Clark, because the second half, Frank, is underway, and we're looking for signs here. Have you seen any signs yet from Newcastle?
Movement around the ball in the Arsenal half, and they definitely look a bit livelier. They've just got to be careful that they don't overstretch themselves too early at the back, but certainly looks a little bit better now.
Arsenal trying to link up down below, Anelka and Overmars, but it doesn't run for them. Now Dabisas looking for a bit of width down the near side, and Robert Lee's there. Lee goes past Winterburn, and Pistone strides forward now for Newcastle. Good play, though, by Vieira. Where did he come from? Great challenge from Vieira. Back to Adams, and Adams is being put under pressure by Speed, and that's better from Newcastle. More of a challenge, certainly, from Gary Speed, but in the end, he overdoes it, and Paul Durkin's going to give Arsenal a free kick. We've played nearly 5 minutes of the second half at Wembley in the cup final. Petit, who was off the pitch, is now going to come back on again, and Arsenal leading through Overmars' goal halfway through the first half.
Yeah, just a bit more competition in terms of Newcastle with the Arsenal players. It was never going to be a race, was it? Vieira and Pistone. Pistone leggy himself, but Vieira must have a 15-foot kind of bound. He just got there in about 3 strides and took it away from Pistone.
Only one shot at goal from Newcastle in the first half, safely gathered in by Seaman from Ketspire. And now Anelka, neat little header down to Parler. Parler looking to Dixon to get down that right-hand side, and Dixon's on the ball. Back tracking comes Ketspire, and he's brought Dixon down from behind. And it's a free kick. We'll be going to the Scottish Cup final in a moment, where there's been another goal, but first of all a free kick, and that might have been a booking at the World Cup had that occurred. But anyway, it's a free kick to Arsenal, leading 1-0. Petit's going to go across to take this one, left-footed. This is down the Arsenal right. Adams is now making a slow, late entry into the area. Keown staying back. Emmanuel Petit with the free kick, away by Dabisas. And Shearer, it falls to on his own in the centre circle, goes past Winterburn, then he's brought down on the halfway line. And that should be a yellow card to Nigel Winterburn. It is. Let's quickly go to Scotland and Roddy Forsyth.
Well, extraordinary here. Hearts 2, Rangers 0 against all the run of play. Stefan Adam took advantage of a mistake by Amoruso. The Italian tried to take a clearance on his chest, let the Frenchman in behind him. Andy got him, reached the shot, couldn't stop it. Into the net it went. Hearts 2, Rangers 0.
Well, what about that? Hearts 2, Rangers 0 in Scotland. Arsenal leading here 1-0. The game is opening up a little bit now as Ray hits it long. An interesting television replay there of that challenge from Winterburn on Shearer. I don't know whether you saw that, Mark. What did you think of it?
Looked like he didn't touch him, Mike, at all. Didn't seem to make any contact whatsoever.
Well, Winterburn got the yellow card, and Barton and Shearer have got yellow cards from Newcastle. And Pistone now hits a long ball, and it's straight to an Arsenal defender, Tony Adams, coasting as ever. And now, once more, Newcastle will be frustrated. Paul Durkin's given a free kick against Warren Barton, who's shaking his fist at the referee, and that's a free kick to Arsenal.
Well, it was a case of feet up, but it was both of them, both Winterburn and Barton. It was 2 3s and a 6, and the referee could, for my money, just played on.
Winterburn with a free kick straight at David Batty of Newcastle. The passing from both sides really has left a lot to be desired in the game. I mean, Arsenal, it has to be said, the champions are not really playing that well, but they're doing enough. They're leading Newcastle 1-0, and Kenny Dalglish looking to his side to try and step up a gear here in the second half as the sun breaks through once more. It's Robert Lee, the Newcastle captain. Plays a 1-2 with Pistone, and then toe pokes the ball to the far side, and Pearce settles on the ball just inside the Arsenal half. Newcastle defending the tunnel away to our left, trying to get an equaliser here, looking now to their Greek international Dabisas. Short ball to Ketspire, and Ketspire just manages to evade Overmars, finding Batty. Ball curled in by Batty, out comes Seaman, and eventually drops on the ball, takes it away from Barton, who'd made a run forward, and Seaman throws accurately now to Winterburn. Winterburn to Mark Overmars. Tucked in down this near side. Lovely ball from Overmars. Excellent running from Parler as well. Parler running across the field. The challenge comes in from behind from Dabisas. Out comes the yellow card straight away.
On that occasion, Dabisas definitely took Parler's legs away from him. Parler was at least half a yard in front of him. Caught him by Dabisas from behind. That's a sending off in the World Cup, by the way.
And I tell you what, as well, one more rash challenge from Winterburn and he would go off. And having seen that replay, that really was a joke, that yellow card on Shearer. Now, free kick to Arsenal. It's a good 30-35 yards away from Gibbons' goal. It's almost central, and it's going to be Petit laying it off to Overmars. Inside the area, Mark Overmars. Volleyed away by Howie. Newcastle still on the edge of their own area. Batty's going to try and dribble clear, and then he's brought down by Petit. Petit, remember, sent off by Paul Durkin earlier in the season in the goalless draw against Aston Villa when he pushed the referee. Now Gary Speed following that free kick. Long ball by Speed, and Shearer is 10 yards offside, catches the ball because he wants the game, of course, to restart as quickly as possible. Shearer getting booed by the Arsenal fans, and it's a free kick to them. Adams to take. Looks down the centre and then hits it very high. Looping ball. Pearce will head this away for Newcastle. Speed under pressure from Parlour. Turns with the ball. Speed already a little bit more effective at the start of the second half. Now Barton. Barton's playing in field more in this second half. It's Newcastle building. Batty down the right-hand side to Barton. And in went Tony Adams. Barton wants a handball there against Tony Adams. It's going to be only a throw into Newcastle. Halfway inside the Arsenal half. He's given the free kick, has he?
Yeah, he's given the free kick.
The referee's given the free kick for the handball against Adams. So Davi Sass can go forward for Newcastle. And the free kick to be taken by Robert Lee. Speed will be dangerous as well. In goes the free kick. Davi Sass and Shearer got in each other's way. They're appealing for the corner kick, and it hasn't gone their way. It's a goal kick to Arsenal, still leading here 1-0.
I looked from here, Mike, as though maybe Adams had got the last touch to it, but certainly did just throw in the business of just throwing the balls in there. And you know, there's one thing about Shearer and Davies had as good in the air as they are. The likes of Keown and Adams, Vieira all battling in there for the headers, and it's more of a case of trying to get the second one, you know, the bounce down, the knockdown, and at the moment Newcastle don't even look like they're in the first challenge.
There's much discussion between Kenny Dalglish down there and Terry McDermott. Kenny Dalglish, who's taken his suit off now, he's wearing shorts and tracksuit down there, and they have to time this, they have to get it right. They will have to do something soon, of course. It's 1-0 to Arsenal on this hot day, and you'd think probably with half an hour to go they might think about someone like Anderson coming on. Also on the bench they've got John Barnes as well. It's a throw to Arsenal on the halfway line over on the far side, and indeed Arsenal too might think about the likes of Ian Wright and David Platt. Now Vieira hits it long, too long I think for Parlour. Out comes Given and safely gathered in by him, the Republic of Ireland international. Arsenal's Grimondi warming up with Platt. Anderson's certainly down there as well on the touchline, the Swede. Glances now off Shearer to Barton. He doesn't control it though. It's away by Winterburn for Arsenal. Just down below us on the Arsenal left is Overmars. Overmars in a tangle with Lee. Foul by Lee on Overmars. Still an untidy cup final, and a free kick to Newcastle, to Arsenal, short of the halfway line. Winterburn to take it. And Arsenal themselves haven't yet been asked to produce in this game as Anelka takes on Dabisas. Anelka, good footwork. Back to Overmars. Overmars comes in field, plays it slightly behind Parlour. Parlour with great power goes through the challenge from Speed, but now it's available to Ketspire. Ketspire struck the ball really too fiercely towards Shearer. He couldn't control it. It really summed up some of the sort of service he's been given in the game. As Seaman hammers the ball back inside the Newcastle half, there's no offside flag, but Given will get that on the edge of his own area. And here comes the clearance from Shea Given. Hanging ball towards the halfway line, thumped back again by Winterburn. Again, there's no flag for offside. Newcastle not pushing up quickly enough. And Batty finds Ketspire short of the halfway line. Ketspire's running through the centre circle. He's faced by Petit. Ketspire goes past Petit, then into Shearer it goes, but Adams is quicker. Adams against Shearer, having a storming game, the Arsenal captain. Tight for Vieira in the centre of Arsenal's midfield, so he gets away from the danger zone. Stabs the ball to this near side. Winterburn hits it quickly and long towards Anelka. Anelka gets above Dabisas, but Howie's there waiting to drop on the ball to get Newcastle moving from the back and crosses the halfway line. Then Steve Howie's held up by Parlour. He can't go forward. Still Howie. Uses the left back over on the far side, Pearce. And, Pearce is going to have to go back to his goalkeeper.
There's absolutely nothing on, Mike, at the moment if you're a Newcastle player. Control of the ball, get your head up, have a little look, maybe a ball into Shearer. Just the same as the first half, really. Anderson away to our right is doing a long warm. He's going to have to come on.
Shearer brought down by Adams. Yeah, the free kick's been given. And it's still Hearts 2, Rangers 0 in Scotland in the Scottish Cup final. So Rangers could end the season without the double they were looking for just a couple of weeks ago. Now, free kick to Newcastle. There's no way that Shearer's going to take this one. Shearer at the moment is inside the penalty area, around about the penalty spot. Robert Lee and Warren Barton are over the ball. Lee tees the ball in, looking for Speed. Not cleared yet by Arsenal. Now it is from Keown. Hasn't put a foot wrong in the final, Martin Keown. And Stuart Pearce is going to settle for the throw-in over on the far side. Still, Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. A goal from Overmars after 23 minutes. In the absence of Bergkamp, the other Dutchman, Overmars, got the goal. Long ball now from Newcastle. Looking to try and play it over Dixon. And down goes Speed. But referee's given the goal kick. Speed hoping for a bit more there, but a goal kick to Arsenal.
It's a hopeful ball played in by Barton. I think Speed got in front of Dixon. I think he felt as though Dixon nudged him in the back as he gained control of the ball. Eventually knocked it out, Speed, but the referee's given a goal kick. And I'm pretty sure it's only a matter of time now before Anderson comes on. I would imagine for Ketspire, a straight swap, play him up through the middle alongside Shearer and try and just lengthen Newcastle's game out a bit and try and turn Arsenal round at the back.
They'll need some running, Newcastle. Try and inject a bit of pace from the blonde-haired Anderson. Ketspire, in the meantime, over on the far side, hasn't really been able to impose himself in the game. The ball on the halfway line, a back over the head from Batty. Adams' header. Seaman will scramble across and save it. But half an hour to go only in the cup final. Arsenal heading for the double for the second time in their history as England goalkeeper Seaman puts the ball back inside the Newcastle half. It glances off Anelka, and all Howie's done is put it into the crowd over on the far side. And if Arsenal win the cup, they'll do it without having won a single game at Highbury in the competition. And also, of course, having got through a couple of penalty shootouts as well. Port Vale and West Ham. The margin can be so slender, can't it? Throw to Arsenal. Inside the Newcastle half down the far side. Never really runs for them, though. Ray, I don't think, will keep it in. Another messy bit of play. And now a throw to Newcastle. And still we wonder, when will be the moment? It could be now, I think, as Andrea Anderson just turned around and thought he was being called back. But he's been told just to do a little more loosening up. Newcastle throwing. Pearce throws the ball into the Arsenal half. Speed heads it down. Batty just knocked it forward as quickly as he could. But Keown was back, and Keown, as he usually does, just thumps the ball back towards the halfway line. A header from Lee now. Ketspire jumping with Tony Adams. It's still in the air. Newcastle looking for a free kick. Then Shearer thrust the ball forward, and there's nobody there to feed off it. He needs Anderson now to come on and give him a bit of support, bit of help. And the ball once more is with Seaman in the Arsenal goal. And again, Arsenal, you sense, on this very hot day, just conserving a little energy, showing their experience, and then it's downfield once more from Seaman. Howie will surely beat Ray in the air. It's glanced away to the far side. Pearce needs to keep it in, and then just pumps it straight back to an Arsenal player. Nice little volley this time from Keown. Newcastle trying to press in midfield. Header forward now, and Shearer onto Batty. Switch to Barton. Newcastle now looking to Robert Lee to try and inspire them from midfield. He's trying to go past Petit. In goes Vieira. The challenge looked all right. The referee's given a free kick. As Lee is sandwiched, and this free kick to Newcastle's no more than 5 yards away from the area. Shearer's already in position, waiting to be served. No suggestion of him taking this one, but Pearce might fancy it. Remember his goal here in the cup final for Forest against Tottenham. What a story this would be if Pearce can crash in an equaliser, and he's certainly having a good look at it. Arsenal setting up a wall of 3. Pearce, Mark, what do you think?
It's not enough in the wall for me, Mike. You need another body in there.
Well,
it's definitely going to be a Pearce hit from here.
He's done it many times in his football life. Stuart Pearce for Newcastle. Do they need something now? 17 minutes gone in the second half. They trail 1-0. Pearce's free kick. It takes a deflection. Arsenal just about wriggle it clear. Parler, though, is caught by Lee. Good challenge. And now Davisas, the defender, down the left-hand side, goes down outside the area. Free kick to Newcastle.
Well, it's very, very dramatic. Throw himself to the floor by Davisas. I'm sure Adams did caught him, but there's no way to do that. I think you're only going to get your fellow players booked.
Well, we've got a free kick to Newcastle. A bit better from them in the second half. Still not really posing any consistent danger to Seaman. The free kick to be taken by Robert Lee. Alongside Shearer is Keown, some 5 or 6 yards out. Lee with a free kick for Newcastle. Chipped in, and the header from Davisas. Did it just glance the bar as it went over? I think it did. Davisas not far away there, and that will encourage Newcastle. There's the big roar.
Yeah, just a ball played into the far post, and Davisas was the last man, and he flung himself at the ball, attacked it, didn't realise it was going to come to him till quite late, and it's more of the top of the head, Mike, that eventually clipped the top of the crossbar. It will certainly raise Newcastle's hopes as Arsenal about to make a substitution.
Well, it's an interesting one because Christopher Ray is coming off, and you might think, listening, that perhaps this could be the moment for Ian Wright to come on for Christopher Ray. Well, it's not. It's a good moment in sport, though, because David Platt, who's achieved much in his career, has yet to experience this moment. An FA Cup final coming on with Arsenal leading 1-0, and David Platt comes on for Christopher Wray. What do you make of that, Mark?
I think what they're going to do is just leave Anelka up front and say to Platt, you do the running from midfield, get an extra body in there. They know that Newcastle are going to push forward, and Platt, the great thing about him from those areas in midfield, he times his run very, very well. Even now at his age, he's into his 30s, and you know, he could well get a goal from him from that area.
No stranger to this stadium, of course. Played here with great distinction for England. And now he's on, and Newcastle, having been given a free kick for offside, hit it long. Pearce, again, it's going to bounce away from Shearer. He has been poorly served in this final, as now Vieira lifts the ball over Howie. In came a challenge from Dabisas, which slightly put Vieira off. Newcastle, though, still under great pressure. Howie, oh, the whistle's gone. In the end, Vieira's been denied by the referee, Paul Durkin. And this is a free kick to Newcastle on the edge of the... But only 25 minutes to go here. And Arsenal still leading through Overmars' goal after 23 minutes of the first half. Ketspire comes to this near side. This is the Newcastle right. Now Batty on the halfway line, running square. And Batty onto speed, but he didn't really look speed. Oh, and a mistake by Keown. Shearer in the area. Shearer from the angle. Hits the post. Shearer hits the far post after the mistake by Martin Keown. He struck it like a torpedo. It looked like it was going to go in. It hits the post and rebounds to safety, and Arsenal still lead.
Bad mistake by Keown. Shearer had to take it right-footed away from the goal and hit it very, very early, which I think caught Seaman by surprise. Still setting himself. Hit it very, very hard. Hits inside the post and comes back out. The look's not in.
We were just looking. Well, I was really expecting the net to bulge then. Shearer hits the post. Arsenal survive. David Platt wins the ball now and then comes in field, strikes it long with his left foot to this near side, and Overmars will give up on that. And after 20.5 minutes of the second half, a big roar from the Newcastle end. Shearer might have equalised. A mistake by Martin Keown. There won't be many more of those in the game. But Newcastle haven't managed to exploit it. The ball now is with Arsenal. Winterburn for Overmars, who's been very quiet in the second half. Newcastle take the ball easily off Overmars, who looks tired. The ball is with Dabisas on the edge of the Newcastle area. Can't hit it long this time. Plays it short instead to Pistone. Now Pistone looking for Shearer. Adams against Shearer. Adams wins the ball, but now Shearer tries to find Barton. Brilliant work from Vieira, though. Came back from the Newcastle half to win a tackle. And now Keown trying to settle himself down after that mistake. Finds Parler, who gets away from Barton easily in midfield. Anelka now on the chase for Arsenal. Parler's gone for the return. Great cutout by Dabisas. Otherwise, Parler could have cut through and the game opens up again. Barton now to Ketspire. Doesn't control it. Should have done. In comes Winterburn. Poor play by Ketspire. Winterburn for Arsenal. Edge of the area. Dabisas throws himself, and then in the end, Winterburn's lifted that over the bar. And it's a goal kick to Newcastle.
But the game's opened up completely since the Shearer chance. Back off the post, Arsenal down one end. Again, Newcastle broke very, very quickly. Just sense a bit more urgency now about Newcastle's play. They suddenly realise that time's going out. They're going to start to have to take one or two more chances. And in doing so, they might make themselves some chances.
And still no sign yet of Andreas Andersson. And almost three-quarters of the game gone. The ball with Newcastle, not for long. Lee's given it away, and now Overmars. Lee trying to atone for his mistake, comes back and challenges well against Overmars. You can certainly never fault Robert Lee for work rate, and it's a throw to Arsenal, taking plenty of time down this near side of the field. Well, it's been a marginally better second half, but it's still not really what you'd like from an FA Cup final. Throw to Winterburn and Arsenal, halfway inside the Newcastle half. Thrown down to Petit. Petit, little shuffle in field, then back to Adams on the halfway line. Looks like he's going to stumble, then like he always does, he regains his composure. And Arsenal's triangle down the left doesn't work out. But Lee can't get forward. He's blocked by Overmars. So we're at the halfway point already of the second half, and taking you through to the final whistle, Alan Green.
Well, it is marginally better, there's no question about that. And Newcastle owe it to their fans to search properly for an equaliser now. Shearer, back to Speed. Barton's gone on a run down the left side. Speed, as an alternative, goes to the right towards the near touch line, and then he's forced to check by the presence of three Arsenal defenders. Plays it back to Lee, and now Pistone running infield towards the centre circle. To Howie, Pearce on the far side, Batty close by, ignored by Pearce, who plays it further upfield. Simple header clear by Keown. Dabisas knocks it back straight to Winterburn. Winterburn infield, but not a good ball. It was intercepted initially by Batty, And now Winterberg gets a second chance to clear it, and it's terribly scrappy again. 1-0 to Arsenal, Overmars' goal after 23 minutes. But Shearer's hit the inside of the post. Barton for Newcastle. Back to Davizas once more, midway inside his own half, away to our left, in front of the tunnel end. And now Howie. Howie up over the halfway line. Simple interception by Dixon. Headed down by Vieira to Parler. Parler lifts it forward, and Anelka's onside. Takes it on his chest, ahead of the defender into the penalty. Shoots Arsenal to the double. Nicholas Anelka was onside. The linesman kept his flag down. Newcastle protest, but Anelka celebrates, and Arsenal win the double for a second time. 2-0 Arsenal, Anelka's goal.
Such clinical finishing as well. I think maybe I thought straight away that Anelka was just offside, Alan, probably half a yard the other side of the Newcastle defender. Wasn't given. Good ball by Parler, taken on his chest by Anelka. Front to Howie. Howie couldn't tackle him. Devastating right foot finish across given. Game over.
Batty's lost a boot, but it's all over. All over. Arsenal have again not played that well today by the high standards they set. But that was a terrific finish by Anelka. He kept his head over the ball, drilled it low. Even Wenger was off the bench, punching the air. Arsenal can celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, the goal was offside, but of course it stands. It's been given.
Long ball upfield towards Shearer. Headed down. Speed inside the penalty area. Forced to run wide. How long will Kenny Dalglish delay before Anderson comes on? Gets by, crosses into the box. Seaman stretches, palms it away, and then collects it. And Seaman hasn't had a great deal to do. He couldn't do anything about that Shearer shot, which had him beaten. But as you say, Mark, it's not really Newcastle's day today.
No, I think we said when David Platt came on that that I thought Arsenal would get another goal. It's just the way the game's been. It's set up for it.
Parler runs through. Terrific run by Ray Parler. And as he brought down outside the penalty area, this could be a sending off offence. Howie was the guilty party, and it's only a yellow card. Now, Davizas was close by as well. The Greek has saved him.
Yeah. That the presence of Davizas might have just got to Parler was obviously uppermost in the referee Paul Durkin's mind. Otherwise, Howie would be down in front of us on the bench. Well, be sent from the field of play, full stop.
I've got to say, I still think he was very lucky to escape a sending off there.
World Cup he's gone.
Very, very lucky. Oh, World Cup. Davizas wouldn't have been on the pitch anyway. He'd have been sent off for his earlier challenge. Newcastle could have been down to 9 men. So Arsenal lead 2-0. And they've got a free kick just outside the Newcastle penalty area, and there is silence at the Newcastle end, away to the left in the tunnel. Now, will it be Overmars or will it be Petit? A yard from the edge of the D. Platt makes a run into the 6-yard box. Coaxes the player off the line. Petit waits. Petit's going to head it left-footed, drifting up over the wall and up over the crossbar.
Yeah, it wasn't a bit like Shearer's attempt in the first half down that end. Also, Batty was going to go and stand on the post, It was
clever work by Platt, wasn't it? Because he ran in there and forced Batty off the line.
And then Vieira as well. Vieira went in also, so he had to really then get Batty off, and Batty then had to tell Given to take a step nearer to the left-hand side. 19
minutes left at Wembley Stadium. This is 5 Live in the BBC World Service. The 1998 FA Cup final. Arsenal lead 2-0. And where is Anderson? Well, he's got his tracksuit top off now. A little late, I suspect. Batty plays it forward. Adams heads it carefully away. Adams has won that battle with Shearer without question. He finds Winterburn down the near side, Arsenal left. And the champions are about to become cup winners as well. Pistone to Barton. Barton's return pass well ahead of the Italian, out of play. And what is Dalglish waiting for? Don't really understand this.
Too little, too late. Even now, he doesn't seem to want to bring him on. Is he coming on? Yes, he's coming on.
At long last. Will he make any difference? This is the point. And who's coming off?
Pearce.
Well, what will he do here? Will he go to... he can go to a back three if he wants.
No, Barton can go to right back. Pistone can go to left. I think that's what's happening.
That's what they're doing. Howie and Davizas in the middle. A reminder in Scotland that it's 2-0 for Hearts against Rangers. That Scottish Cup final almost won as well. Here at Wembley, Arsenal lead Newcastle by 2-0. First Overmars, then Anelka. Once more the foreign influence. And the celebrations to our right, well, there must be 20,000 red and white flags there. And they're all being waved at the moment. And then you look to the left, and there's a solitary, disconsolate black and white flag being waved. Arsenal on the attack down the far side. It's Platt, threads the ball through, and then did it take a deflection? Yeah, it did, and it's a corner.
It was off Pistone, wasn't it? Even it was a poor ball by flat. Pistone didn't realise there's nobody behind him. He stuck out a right foot, deflected it away. But I mean, when you analyse the cup final, Alan, Arsenal really have been playing at something like 60 or 70%, and they're still very, very comfortable. But they've been cruising through the second half. There's always a danger when there's only 1 goal to nil lead, because now it's 2. It's so easy for them. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't score another one.
17 minutes to go. Petit's corner, driven in low, and a header away by Lee, out of play on the far side. And they didn't even bother sending Keown and Adams up there. They can just look after Shearer. 3 on Shearer at the moment, because Winterburn's hung back as well. Arsenal thrown in the far side, taken by Dixon to Parlour. Parlour tackle, fairly tackle, according to Durkin. And now here's Anderson, the substitute. Up over the halfway line, away on the far side. He's already midway inside the Arsenal half. 2 challenges over there to him. Anderson still has the ball. Oh, just for a second. And then it's hit out of play by Parlour.
But straight away, as soon as there's any danger regarding Arsenal, they've got, at least 3 red shirts round the ball.
Have Newcastle got anything in this cup final? I don't think that the win is as emphatic as it was in 1974, but I'll bet those Newcastle fans will feel just as let down. This is a poor performance by the Geordies today. Here's Winterburn for Arsenal, just ahead of the D of his own penalty area. Slides the pass to Parlour, who's playing very well. Parlour looking to Anelka. Anelka's after it. Howie's across. Anelka's first touch wasn't clever, and Howie with a pass back to his goalkeeper.
Pity for Arsenal that when Anelka eventually turned himself round so he's facing the ball, his touch was sloppy, otherwise he can run at Howie. Howie, of course, already been booked. Maybe fortunate to stay on the pitch. He could have run at Howie, got him in the penalty area and caused problems.
Here's Batty. Batty to Kitspire down the near side. I wonder if... I'm not sure Arsene Wenger, is all that sentimental and would wish to bring Ian Wright on. We'll see. There's still a quarter of an hour to go. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Throw in down the near side is to Arsenal, to Winterburn, and only one half of Wembley is celebrating. And they're no longer boring. No longer boring at all. No longer lucky either. This is the best team in England at the moment, without question. Arsenal lead Newcastle 2-0. Already champions of the Premiership and heading for the double. 14 minutes away. Overmars had put them in front. Beats Barton easily. And then Barton's brought him down. Barton's already been booked. Oh, he's going to get away with a free kick. And he's a lucky boy.
Yeah, well, he's looking so far as Davies has again, like he was with Howie. There's the next man that Overmars would come into contact to. But also in a wide position. I think 1 or 2 of the referees might have given Barton another booking, therefore a sending off.
So he brought him down from behind.
Yeah.
Hey, on its own in the World Cup, he'd have been off. I think the referee... no, choke is not the word I'll use. I'll only think about it. We're going to have another substitution. Is that Watson who's going to come on shortly? And he would actually give an attacking option, Steve Watson. He can play up front. Meantime, Arsenal free kick. Winterburn to Petit. On to Anelka inside the penalty area. Platz on the far post. Anelka's cross is weak. And it's behind, drifting behind for a goal kick. 79,183. I thought capacity was only 78,000 at Wembley these days, but there you go. They squeezed another 1,183 in. I know a few have got in who shouldn't be in, but I'm not selling high. And they can call an FA inquiry, and I won't tell them either. 13 minutes to go. Adams clears from the edge of his own penalty area, whacks it away to the far side, and out of play for a throw into Newcastle.
I think it'd be Barton coming off. Yeah, it is.
Well, I think that's sensible, actually. He's already been booked. He should have been sent off there, and now he is going off. And Watson's come on. Now, will he just stay as a right back? What's he going to do here?
I would think so. It's great for Overmars, isn't it? It's a case of, by the way, we played 3 players against you throughout the day.
Well, he just slipped the ball past Barton, and then, a little sprint, and he was away.
Rolls-Royce and a larder, wasn't it?
No advertising. 13 minutes to go. 2-0 to Arsenal.
A larder.
Shearer to Watson, a substitute. Chipped on, intercepted by Adams. Adams to Overmars. Arsenal finding this very easy now. Parlour on towards Anelka. Davies has a cross. Heads it carefully to the near side to Watson, who slides it forward down the touchline. Lee, the Newcastle captain, beaten by an emphatic challenge from Winterburn. And then Parlour plays it forward. Anelka's after it, given out of his goal. Gets there first, hits it into the crowd.
Oh, well done, Given. When the ball was played and I saw the race, I thought, oh dear, Shea Given, you better be quick. But you get about 3 or 4 yards start and just got there in front of Anelka.
You can see Arsenal picking off another goal or 2 here, the way things are going.
Well, also, it's difficult to know what Newcastle have done. I just said to Catspire, just go and play kind of on that inside rightist position in midfield. So they're still playing 4-4-2, and they're 2-0 down in the FA Cup final. And look, we've not too long left.
At the moment, there's no Newcastle player within 40 yards of Alan Shearer. The ball's just to the right of the Newcastle penalty area, and it was headed away by Batty, but it obviously touched Anelka, and it's going to be a Newcastle throw as a result. Level over the edge of their own penalty area, near side Newcastle right. And the Newcastle end is a sorry end at the moment. They are fantastic supporters, arguably the best in the country, and what are they getting for it? Another poor display from their team in a cup final. Here's Petit. Petit chips the ball forward. We're going to Parkhead in just a moment, but Anelka has it for Arsenal, who are 2-0 up. Now it's cleared by Newcastle. Come in, Roddy, for side.
Yes, come in also Ali McCoist, the man rejected by Craig Round for the Scotland squad, has brought Rangers right back into it with 9 minutes remaining. A forceful ball from Gattuso on the edge of the box, and it was vintage McCoist swinging around his marker. One shot away past Rusey, and it's now Hearts 2, Rangers 1.
Thanks, Roddy, here at Wembley. Listened to by 5 Live in the BBC World Service. 10 minutes left. Arsenal 2-0 up here against Newcastle United. 10 minutes away from the double. Winterburn heads it clear. Overmars juggles with the ball. Beaten though by a good challenge by Lee. And now Batty slides into Watson. The pass a little short. Watson made something of it. He's got Anderson to his right, but he crosses low. Bounces once straight to Seaman.
Yeah, I think his cross hit Petit was deflected straight to Seaman, and you're asking a lot of Watson to come on and take care of Overmars straight away, and then look to supply you with some crosses and pace and a bit of possession down the right-hand side.
They look very tired now, Newcastle, as well. The legs look leaden, and not surprising on a day like this, so hot and humid at Wembley Stadium, and you're 2-0 down, and what are you feeling like? You're feeling miserable. Vieira laid on by Anelka. Overmars is there. Oh, Watson gets across. He's quicker than Barton, and it's cleared by Davies outside of play.
Just as well as it was Watson in that instance, because he's got the pace that will certainly match Overmars. Of course, he's got very, very fresh legs at the moment, and we just see Overmars doubled up then.
I was very surprised Watson didn't start the game, because he's a good defender and he's quick. And if anybody was going to look after Overmars, it would have been him.
I'm not quite sure whether he's fully fit, Alan. I think that's obviously thought that it was going to be the gamble.
Davies ass jumps with Anelka. The header down falls to Batty, just 6 yards in advance of his own penalty area. Slides it away to Pistoni on the far side. Long dark hair trailing as he approaches the halfway line and skips past the challenge of Parlour. Still running, and Parlour's in there again, diving in with his right foot, diverting the ball out of play. Has he given a free kick, the referee?
I think the referee has. I thought it was a perfectly legitimate tackle.
Well, it is. It's only a throw-in. Pistoni throws the ball back to Batty. Batty to Speed. Big disappointment, Gary Speed. Now Lee and Watson down the near side. Newcastle at least committing lots of players forward into the Arsenal half. Gets by from a pass by Watson, tries to return the favour, intercepted by Winterburn and taken away by Overmars. Infield to Vieira, Anelka ahead of him, and it's played through, and the flag stayed down initially, and then the linesman thought better of it, raised it, it's offside.
Well, I'm not sure whether the linesman was waiting to see whether Vieira was played it through and then was running after it. I think that's probably his first thought. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt anyway.
Lee for Newcastle. Won't be left in the cup unless something dramatic happens here. Forward to Shearer. Shearer 25 yards out. Shoots straight into the body of Adams, and Adams just shrugs it off.
He's gone about 70 yards.
Pistoni collects away on the far side. Arsenal with everyone back inside their own half at the moment, but you know, they're just taking it easy. They're not under any serious pressure here. Though a goal would change it. Petit tackles Lee, wins the ball, finds Parlour, forward to Platt. Anelka skips away to the right, and the pass is through from Platt. Anelka's away, Pistoni's after him. Anelka's got there. There's no Arsenal player into the penalty area, except for Anelka, holding the ball up, playing it back. Parlour drives the shot in, screams over the crossbar.
Brilliant play by Anelka. 2-0 up in the cup final. He's looked, you know exactly where he wanted the ball from Platt. He's got himself in front of Pistoni. He held him off. Won the physical challenge, eventually got the ball under control, give you that, bought you an extra 1 or 2 seconds, allow your midfield players up, plays the ball back in. Marvellous front man running.
Inside the last 8 minutes. Reminding you that at Parkhead, it's Hearts 2, Rangers 1 in the Scottish Cup final. Here at Wembley, Arsenal 2, Newcastle United 0. Parlour on the far side. Anderson, one of the Newcastle substitutes, after him, trying to harass him, but Parlour holds it up well and then plays it back, and Martin Keown, who slipped, almost allowed Shearer to score. He's not too worried about it now. Finding Vieira, now Winterburn over the halfway line, left to the centre circle, room to run into. And he's midway inside the Newcastle half. Back to Overmars, who scored the first goal. Infield to Petit. Slide pass forward into the penalty area. Overmars after it. Out comes Given, gathers and throws it quickly away to Watson.
Well, Arsenal just completely dominating the game now, as you would expect. And, you know, super passing, lots of support. And they've got so many options on the ball at the moment that Newcastle are chasing shadows, look very, very tired, and every time they get the ball in front of them, Newcastle, there's not many options for them.
Watson to Speed. Speed lets it run between his legs. Parler was there anticipating that. He finds Winterburn, and there's Adams, and Petit, and Vieira, and Kitsbaya in, winning the ball back from Newcastle. The singing, no doubt, is from the Arsenal fans. And, well, they'll be singing their way into the Champions League next season. And the only consolation for Newcastle is that they were guaranteed a Cup Winners' Cup entry, whatever happened here this afternoon. John Barnes is going to come on shortly for Newcastle as they're on the attack. It's played away. Kitsbaya shoots that footed. Balls to Shearer. He's onside. And the tackle comes in from Nigel Winterburn. What a challenge. Shearer can't believe it. He had a chance to bring it. Newcastle back in, and it's snuffed out. Great presence of mind by Winterburn. Misplaced shot by Kitsbaya. Shearer definitely onside. Good first touch. He sized up exactly where Seaman was coming from off his line, and there was Winterburn, split second, nicked it off his toes. He's the best left-sided defender in the country at the moment, Nigel Winterburn. Best English left-sided defender, no question about that, but he's not going to France. Lee with a corner for Newcastle. Hit deep into the penalty, headed back towards goal. Headed away by Winterburn. Shearer shoots, blocked by Keown. Rebounds to Watson, edge of the day. He's tackled, foul tackle. It's a free kick to Newcastle. Good chance for Shearer in amongst all that, Alan. The ball fell to him, some 15 yards out, right on his right foot, on the volley. And not sure who blocked it, but somebody just literally, a red shirt, threw themselves at Shearer, threw themselves at the ball, and that is Arsenal fear. That epitomises the spirit of the side. 5 minutes to go. 2-0 to Arsenal. Barnes is going to come on for Kitsbaya before this free kick is taken. What can he do in 5 minutes? Not fair, is it really? So the free kick to Newcastle, from which you feel they've really got to score if they've got any chance in this 1998 Cup final. 5 minutes to go. It has to be Shearer's right foot, surely. There are 4 players in the Arsenal wall. A couple more lurking to the left. Shearer drives it in wide.
Well, I'm not sure about the wall. I'm not sure what happened to the wall there, because it's gone almost through them, toward the side of them, certainly, and I think Seaman's had a go at this defender. It's very unusual for Seaman to get very demonstrative about anything, and I'm not sure what happened to them, but I'm pretty sure it went through them, Alan. I think it was Overmars. He turned his back as Shearer struck, and it just, you know, he turned side on instead of full on, and it slipped inside. Well, he's a forward. They do turn the back in the wall, don't they? Yeah, they're not very brave, are they? You would say that. 4 minutes to go. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Clearance upfield by Seaman, headed back by Dabizas, and away by Adams to the near side. Winterburn jumps, heads it down. Batty's there for Newcastle, but his ball forward hacked away by Adams, out of play. And who would you pick as man of... Not that we've got a man of the match, but let's say I give him this cup of water. Who would you pick? Vieira. Yeah, and he's 21. It's frightening. Absolutely frightening. Terrific player. And yet he's not certain of being in Jacquet's squad for the World Cup. Neither is Petit, neither is Anelka, whose goal has clinched this double for Arsenal. Platt plays it towards Anelka. Oh, good tackle by Dabizas, who was beaten for pace initially, but then thrust out a long right leg and diverted the ball away. Arsenal have it again on the far side. 3 minutes to go. Parler running down the right, and then cutting in field away from Bastoni. Parler's still going into the penalty area, and he shoots into the side of the netting behind for a goal kick. Brilliant by Parler. It really epitomises what he's done throughout the season. So direct. Faced by 2 defenders, wasn't daunted. Inside Bastoni's legs, got right on the other side of him. I'm not sure if it didn't clip the outside of the post. It did. I'll tell you this too. He's a disappointed player not to be in the 30 for this Saudi Arabian game and the trip to Casablanca. And the season he's had, well, he's every reason to be disappointed. 3 minutes to go at Wembley. Arsenal 2, Newcastle United 0. Arsenal still tackling as if there was something dramatic at stake here, but I think Newcastle know they're a beaten side. Pistoni plays it forward to Anderson, who's made absolutely no impact since coming on as substitute. Back it goes to Dabizas inside the centre circle. Lee available to his right. Dabizas steps in field from Overmars, finds Barnes. Back to Anderson, who's come across the pitch from left to right. Now he dinks the cross in towards the far post. It's going to beat Dabizas, and it's behind for a goal kick. Yeah, Seaman was always in control. Knew exactly where his goals were, knew exactly where the ball was, knew exactly where Dabizas was, and he came out and went to those going to come and collect the cross, and just dropped his arms down. But certainly you talked about Arsenal, and I just think it's marvellous to watch them play insofar as when they do lose the ball, they've got those midfield players. Again, they're in a line, the three of them, Parlo, Vieira, Petit. They are just such fantastic protection for the back four players. And that's whether they're playing poorly or whether they're playing outstandingly. And today, there's just done enough in all areas.
Overmars shoots from long range. Oh, terrific effort from Mark Overmars. He spotted that Gibbon was 8 yards off his line. He knew precisely what he was doing. He tried to volley it over the goalkeeper's head. What a fantastic goal it would have been. Gibbon gets back.
Marvellous bit of skill. Half volley, right foot, 45 yards away.
Brilliant. And that just sums up the last 3 months for Arsenal. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. And to their eternal credit, the Newcastle fans are singing. Anderson comes forward for Newcastle United into the penalty. He's still going, Anderson. Needs to get a shot in. Lays it back, driven in by Speed. No, it's wide. Should have found the target, Gary Speed.
Well, again, marvellous play by Anderson. I didn't know how he got into the penalty area and got so far, but he's allowed to get so far. Possibly people not going to want to tackle him in that penalty area. Laid the ball back to Speed. But again, he struck it wide, but bodies at him, Alan, straight away. 3 or 4 red shirts straight in the line of Speed's sight, which made him drag it wide of the post.
Goal kick to Arsenal. And David Seaman will take it. We're inside the final minute of the 1998 Cup Final. Seconds away from Arsenal claiming their second double. The first, remember, was in 1971. In similar vein, they came from behind in the Championship to pip Leeds, and then they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup, beat Liverpool in the FA Cup final. Here they're beating Newcastle United. Shearer, being booed by the Arsenal fans, wins a corner off Keown, and it'll be the final attacking movement from Newcastle United.
Well, and if they do score, it's just going to be a consolation prize in what has really been Arsenal's total domination of the FA Cup final and the Premier League in the last 4 months.
The corner, as we move into stoppage time, taken by Lee from the right-footed. Lots of Newcastle players to aim at. It's headed down, and Speed has to retreat to the edge of the penalty area. Plays it back to Watson. Plays it in right-footed. Vieira is there. Mark Lawrenson's man of the match, and Vieira runs it clear. And then he runs into Batty. Batty to Davizas. And still they probe Newcastle, but that's a poor ball from Robert Lee. And then a foul, surely, by Batty. No, the referee's not even going to bother giving it. It's a goal kick.
Well, it sums up Newcastle, really, for me. Alan, you know, on occasions when they've had the ball 30, 40 yards away from the Arsenal goal, they seem to have 1 or 2 bodies in and around the goal. The final pass generally has been poor, and the best chance they had came from an Arsenal mistake, Keown's mistake. Fell to Shearer, hit it very, very quickly, very early, left-footed, superb shot, ricocheted back off the post.
The referee, Paul Durkin, has looked to his 2 linesmen. Seaman's goal kick, final check of the watch. Wait for the whistle to celebrate the double for Arsenal. Play continues for the moment. And Grimaldi's going to come on as a substitute in stoppage time. I don't know why. Maybe it's an injury to Winterburn. He seems to be troubled a little bit at the moment. It's hit upfield by Keown. And Overmars is after it. And Davizas has to be careful. Good header back by the Greek to his goalkeeper, Gibbon. Throws it out. Another glance by Paul Durkin to the watch. Still play continues. Robert Lee for Newcastle. Forward to Shearer, who hoped it might be his day. And would have watched as Lee went up to claim the trophy. It's not going to be. Hearts have beaten Rangers by 2-1. Arsenal poised to claim victory here at Wembley. Is that the final whistle? Paul Durkin looks for the ball. Adams says, no, it's mine. He wants to hack it high into the crowd. And Arsenal celebrate. And commiserations to Newcastle fans who deserve better.
Well, quite simply, Arsenal have been outstanding throughout the last 4 months, Alan. I think this is a culmination for them, and they didn't really have to play that well today. I thought it was a bit of a scrappy game, but it always suited Arsenal. They always had players in position. They always had players in positions that were going to hurt Newcastle. Certainly Overmars scoring the first goal. Sloppy goal for Newcastle to concede. All about one ball from Petit over the top. Those Overmars, lightning fast, ball down, pass given, 1-0. You never felt that Newcastle would have any way back from that. The play was poor. The final pass was awful. They had very, very few options. Arsenal were always in control and worthy winners of the FA Cup final.
His players celebrate in the middle of the pitch, but Arsene Wenger stayed behind in the touchline in relative anonymity and shook the hands of every member of the Newcastle backroom staff and his own backroom staff. That's a measure of the man. Newcastle United defending the tunnel end, the end at which their supporters are gathered. They will kick off in their black and white striped shirts, black shorts and white stockings. Manchester United defending the goal to the right as the whistle is blown by the referee, Peter Jones. Red shirts, white shorts and black stockings. And it's with Gary Neville as Newcastle lose possession after kicking off, and Neville just the ball forward and all the way through to Steve Harper. it's quite a while, Jimmy Arfield, since we had a cup final, an FA Cup final to talk about properly, 1990 really. So one sense have been forgettable.
Well, I think the thing about this one, Alan, as far as, the public are concerned, I think it would be something of a surprise, if Newcastle won. But in a cup final, anything can happen. Over the years, I've seen things happen. But for Newcastle, I feel they need to start well, and particularly the two central defenders.
Robert Lee plays the ball to Solano on the far side, then Speed, Solano again, Domi, the Frenchman, infield, good break by Newcastle, Solano, back it goes to Robert Lee, 30 yards out, shoots, it deflects off David May, and it's a header by Kitsbaia, which just loops towards Peter Schmeichel, and the first bellowing from the Danes.
Yes, I was going to say, I think the two central defenders need to start well, because, they've not been together for a while. Trevor's had this injury, of course. And the other thing which I feel is crucial is the midfield players, Speed and Imam. They've got to get hold of that centre field. I don't think they can let Roy Keane and Scholes start to dictate that area, otherwise Beckham and Giggs will start coming into it, and the front players.
A slightly inauspicious start, because we haven't played a minute and a half. We need a new ball. You think we'd check this out before kick-off, wouldn't you? Anyway, it's a free kick to Manchester United. There must have been a foul by Kitsbaia on the edge of the United penalty area. Remember that for commentary purposes, though there are two Uniteds playing here today, Manchester United are always known as United, Newcastle United known as Newcastle. So we don't mean any offence by referring to Newcastle and United. And United have the ball. Schmeichel, left-footed, clearance to the halfway line. Hamann, who won the German Cup final with Bayern Munich last season, heads it down to Lee. Back it goes to Griffin. Infield to Lee again. Griffin once more. Hit long for Alan Shearer. Ronnie Johnson is there, and the ball eludes both of them and rushes through to Schmeichel.
I think one thing is important. I think Newcastle will come in. I don't think they'll be holding out here at all. Manchester United, I suppose one or two of them just might have a thought about next Wednesday, but I think Newcastle, it's the way football is played. Come on, they'll be saying they've got Wednesday to think about. This is our big final. Let's get into them right away.
Now, I didn't see the incident concern, but Roy Keane is definitely limping at the moment for Manchester United inside the centre circle.
Well, he's had an ankle injury, remember, Alan, about a couple of weeks ago, and he got involved with the tackle down here with Imam, and he's come off as well. He's got a bit of a knock as well on the side of his leg.
Yeah, his problem's a thigh, and that looks bruised already. He's lifted his shorts very high, so we can't miss that. And Keane is limping. Haman's back on. Free kick for Newcastle, played into the United penalty, and it's Solano with a shot, and Schmeichel fumbled initially and then pounced on it as Kitsbaia rushed in.
Great volley by Solano, but he's a good kicker of the ball, Solano. I've seen him, strike balls from distance. That was really well taken. Keane's struggling, Alan, here.
Keane's definitely got a problem, and on the bench, remember, as the ball is back with Steve Harper, they haven't actually, well, I suppose Blomqvist can play down the left, and Giggs to be drawn inside alongside Scholes if Keane is forced off. But there's no Nicky Butt. The clearance upfield by Harper to the far side. We played 3.5 minutes. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 0 in the 118th FA Cup final. Shearer to Solano. Infield, headed on by Speed towards Kitsbaia. Headed clear by Manchester United, and Keane lifts that away, and he is definitely in trouble. I can't see Roy Keane continuing in this game.
No, but he's had this ankle injury, Alan, about a couple of weeks ago, and they brought him back for the last game, and he was really struggling then. I mean, he came back last week and he looked good.
I'll tell you this is such a blow for Manchester United and such a boost for Newcastle, because everyone knows how much Roy Keane will be missed in Barcelona on Wednesday night, and if he's forced off here after a couple of minutes at Wembley, Newcastle's advantage.
Yes, I mean, it's hard to see just how bad his injury is at the moment, but he's got a bit of a limp, certainly. They're trying to treat him on the field. I don't know why they don't treat them off the field, as they're supposed to do, but there we are.
There's been a wicket in the cricket. England 2 for 1. 2 for 1 against South Africa, needing 226 to win. It was a challenge from Gary Speed, I gather, that led to Roy Keane's injury. He's had treatment, but he's still limping. Play continues, though. 4 minutes gone. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 0. It's played from the Newcastle left to their right. Lee, back to Andy Griffin, who didn't play in the cup final last season because he was cup-tied, having played in the earlier rounds for Stoke City. But Griffin will be very important this afternoon, looking after Ryan Giggs. Harper hits the clearance upfield. Good header infield by Shearer to Ketsbaia. Back to speed, on towards Solano. Tackled by Gary Neville, and the ball breaks to Ryan Giggs, and Manchester United haven't got going yet. And now it's back with Phil Neville inside his penalty area. Under pressure and tackled by Haman. Haman seemed to catch him. And Peter Jones is saying that's a yellow card offence. The German's been booked.
Well, it was a tattle in there. I mean, so really, I think he should have just given a free kick there. I mean, so Philip Neville's all right. I think that's a sort of a warning shot there, really, more than anything else. Alex Ferguson is on the side of the pitch. But it was a foul. But right away, he's given the free kick and a yellow card. That's a blow for them, really, to get a yellow card from Mann so early on.
I'm not inclined to disagree, though, with Peter Jones, who is definitely one of the finest referees we've got in this country, and a very fair man. Free kick to Manchester United, just a foot to the left of their penalty area, and Schmeichel will take it. And keep an eye out for Keane, who's running a little more freely now, but still in trouble. He's got the ball inside the centre circle, and he hacks it on to Beckham, and Beckham, the goal is offside. And Manchester United, as I say, haven't got going yet, and they've hardly had the ball inside the Newcastle half.
No, they haven't. Let's be careful here. Beckham there, he definitely dived over. You know, Peter Jones is going to have to watch this, because he's quite clearly recognises that Newcastle are coming in, and he's got to weigh all this up as a referee. It isn't easy. He can't always read players' minds.
Teddy Sheringham has got his tracksuit bottoms off. This will be an interesting change. Harper with a free kick for Newcastle United. We've played 7 minutes, and it's 0-0 in the cup final at Wembley. Shearer heads it on again. May, who's played in 6 of Manchester United's last 8 games, lifts it away. May couldn't get a Premiership medal because he didn't play in enough games. But how important will he be in these remaining games of the season? And Ryan Giggs comes forward now, plays the ball towards Andy Cole, intercepted by Domi, and it needs to be cleared, and Chavez, but very careless inside his penalty area, creating panic there in the Newcastle ranks, and finally it's hit away to safety by Harper.
Great cover by Domi. He came right across very quickly. He's a sharp lad. I saw him play for France at under 18 level, and he's a good player. That was well covered.
Beckham's foot was a bit high, but fair. Played back to Gary Neville, now to Scholes, on towards Solskjaer. I don't think Solskjaer has touched the ball yet. It's put out of play by Davizas, and it's a throw into United. Manchester United on the far side. Beckham takes it to Gary Neville. Now Paul Scholes. Scholes onto the edge of the penalty area. Sheringham's definitely going to come on. What switch is entailed here, Jimmy?
Well, I would think really Keane is going to come off quite clearly, I would think, because he's hobbling around in the middle of the field, and it's going to be Sheringham who's going to come on. He can play in that deep role. He can play in that area. I think first of all he will try and play him in that centre, and he'll tell Scholes to do the holding role a little bit more, I would think, and then Sheringham will be freer to go on. Well, we'll see.
Well, Roy Keane's had well publicised problems this week, but this is a very difficult end of the season for him. Can't play because of suspension on Wednesday evening in the European Cup final, and now hobbles off after 8 minutes of the FA Cup final. The Manchester United skipper out of action for the rest of the season. Sheringham is on.
Beckham's coming to the middle. Beckham's coming to the middle of the field, Alan.
Gary Neville with a throw-in. Sheringham heads it on into the Newcastle penalty area. Only half cleared. Solskjaer left-footed volley, well wide of goal.
Right, I think the changes are going to be what he's got now, or it looks to be to me. Beckham's going to come in and play.
Solskjaer's going wide right.
Yeah, Solskjaer will play down the right. Sheringham will play at the middle with Cole, and then you'll get this Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, Solskjaer playing on the right-hand side.
And we played 9 pretty eventful minutes. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 0 in the cup final at Wembley Stadium. You're listening to 5 Live in the BBC's World Service. Harper with a goal kick for Newcastle, just drifts beyond Gary Neville and Alan Shearing and colleagues, and it's out of play on the far side of the field for a throw-in to Manchester United. Midway inside their own half. They haven't got any fluency yet, Manchester United.
No, the game's not untidy. It's been broken up, really. A keen injury, a booking, you know, both teams going at it.
Beckham. And the referee spotted a foot high by Gary Speed, I think, on Solskjaer. So it's a free kick to Manchester United, a yard short of the halfway line, right of the centre circle. The ball is now played into the centre circle to Scholes. Scholes back to David May. May forward to Cole. Cole does well to evade 2 challenges. Finds Teddy Sheringham, though I think he was playing it to Ryan Giggs. Sheringham does well. On to Scholes. Sheringham in the penalty, and Sheringham has scored for Manchester United. He's only been on 2 minutes.
10 minutes played at Wembley Stadium. Schmeichel, delirious, away to the right. And Manchester United's outfield players group around the substitute Teddy Sheringham, who's put them in front on their way to a third double in 6 seasons. It's Manchester United 1, Newcastle United 0.
Well, it was a lovely goal made by Sheringham and finished by Sheringham. Lovely, he beat two players to start with. Played it onto Scholes, then he went on the run, and I watched the two central defenders, and I did say it's important for those players to play well, and they didn't follow the run. And the ball was played inside, goalkeeper came out, Teddy Sheringham 1 against 1, he's very good at that. Excellent goal.
And maybe I'm wrong, Jimmy, but I was thinking before kick-off that for the neutral, for us up here, what the cup final needed was Newcastle to score first. Well, they are going to struggle now against Manchester United. We'll see. Lee lifts the ball forward. May heads it away. Haman fouls Beckham and then protests as the decision is given. Remember, Haman's been booked already.
I think the referee's been a bit fussy. I think he's trying to make his point here, Alan. I think Haman was entitled to go for that ball then.
By the way, did you think Cole meant to aim the pass at Sheringham? I thought he hit it more firmly than that, was trying to play it to Giggs.
Tried to play, and Sheringham intercepted it, really.
And did really well. Ball played away to the far side and headed away by Domi towards the halfway line. Gary Neville is there and plays it back. It doesn't touch David May. Schmeichel out of his penalty area to clear. And Schmeichel hits it straight out of play on the far side of the field. It'll be a throw into Newcastle United, who are stunned by that Sheringham goal. And, you know, he survived the taunts last season. Teddy Sheringham, what is it? Oh, Teddy. Went to Man United and he didn't win much. And now he was involved in the Premiership triumph last Sunday against his old side, Tottenham Hotspur, and he scored in the FA Cup final here against Newcastle. Manchester United lead 1-0. Shearer jumps, though, edge of the penalty, the United penalty area. It bounces off the top of the England captain's pate and through the Peter Schmeichel.
Well, Newcastle so far, they can't get Solano and Lee into the game, really. Ball hasn't been, to be fair to Lee, it hasn't been much on this side of the field. Just need to settle down now. The last thing they needed was to concede a goal after 10 minutes.
You're listening to the BBC 5 Live and World Service. Manchester United 1, Newcastle United 0. Robert Lee, who could be playing his final game for the club, plays it over the halfway line to Alan Shearer, and Shearer is fouled by Paul Scholes. England colleagues, the two of them, and it's a free kick to Newcastle, just 3 or 4 yards inside the Manchester United half. Have they changed the ball again?
No.
Almost.
Better be careful, we're running out of it.
Not surely. Speed with a free kick to Davizas over the halfway line on the far side. That's the Newcastle left. Manchester United with everyone behind the ball now. The pressure is off, if the pressure was ever seriously on. The team who've already won the Premiership title for the 5th time in just 7 seasons. May clears towards Ryan Giggs. It drops kindly for Newcastle, and Robert Lee is the ball. 13 minutes played at Wembley. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 0. Poor clearance by Charbet, and Solskjaer heads it out of play on the far side of the field. Graham Taylor, the Watford manager, whose team I saw progress to the playoff finals on Thursday night. He's sitting alongside us in the commentary position. Graham, what do you make of it so far?
Well, I mean, it was the first sort of thing, instant for Manchester United, and Teddy Sheringham there intercepted a pass that was meant for Giggs, but then showed tremendous skill. I think he nutmegged probably 2 of the players before layering up, and then wasn't picked up for his run and finished extremely well. What I would say is if Charvet keeps playing and keeps taking the risks that he is doing in the centre of the Newcastle goal, there will be more chances for Manchester United. I don't think that central partnership is right at all.
Now, there are some of us who feel that Charvet is particularly susceptible to pace. Anyway, we'll see.
I felt that was very important, Alan, these 2 central defenders. I felt that all along. If your central defenders are right, it makes such a difference to the rest of the team.
The ball drifts over Davizas' head and is cleared by Charvet, those 2 Newcastle centre defenders. May heads it back into the centre circle. Sheringham, who scored, heads it down towards Cole. Giggs is there as well, but the ball breaks to Speed, and Speed hacks it forward. Shearer is after it. Across comes Ronnie Johnson, gives the England captain a little nudge. Shearer holds him off well. Back to Lee. And Lee, 5 yards in from the right touchline, near side for Newcastle. Back to Ketsbaya, and now Griffin. Speed, Griffin again. Good ball on. And Robert Lee is onside, just to the right of the penalty area. The cross is beyond Schmeichel to the far post. Shearer gets ahead of the ball, but was he pushing Gary Neville? Yes, says referee Peter Jones, and it's a free kick.
Yes, I think he was right there. The ball was good play by Newcastle. For me, that's the best move so far. 2 or 3 passes together. That's what they needed. Griffin, a lovely ball to Lee. The cross was all right, but Shearer pushed Gary Neville on the back post.
England have lost another wicket. The cricket are now 6 for 2. That's a bright start, lads. Needing 226 to beat South Africa. Ball's out of play on the far side of the field, and it's a Manchester United throw-in. And it's an amazing sight looking to the left, to where the majority of the Newcastle fans are seated, Jimmy. I mean, 99% of them must be wearing Newcastle shirts. It's an astonishing sight. I mean, what is the profit in that? But they're despondent at the moment. It's the Manchester Hordes who are singing, and Manchester United on the attack. Gary Neville with a deep cross into the Newcastle penalty area, and again confusion amongst those defenders. Ball breaks to Giggs. Back to Beckham, now playing in the centre of midfield. Roy Keane is injured and off. Sheringham is on a substitute, and he scored. Giggs on towards Cole. Charvet knocks it away, and Speed lifts it to the halfway line, but only to Phil Neville, who's playing, of course, because Dennis Irwin is suspended. Solano intercepts, but Manchester have the ball back. Beckham, wide to Phil Neville. On to Ryan Giggs. Griffin's challenge was heavy, but fair, according to the referee, and then Beckham pulls down Kitspire, and that is a free kick to Newcastle, and Beckham's just being ticked off by Peter Jones. In fact, as he ran away, Peter's saying, you come back, just calm down.
What is the difference between that Chat Fallon's and that one of Hammam's? None. I think that's where the referee made his error earlier on. I think the referee's made a rub for his own back here. 17 minutes played, a clear difference of opinion between summariser and commentator about the quality of Peter Jones. No, just this first match, I mean. First few minutes. I think that's where referee's making a problem for themselves. He booked a man and he didn't book Beckham. I think he should be consistent. That's what players ask for.
Griffin with a throw-in for Newcastle, midway inside the Manchester half, and gets it back off Lee. Lee once more. Speed available. Gary Speed dinks it forward, only half cleared. Dietmar Hamann approaching the D, on to Solano, back towards Hamann, stubbed away by Scholes, picked up by Speed, and then that's a foul by Solskjaer. It's certainly a free kick, and I wonder if it's a yellow card. No.
Well, I wouldn't give a yellow card for that.
Why not?
Well, I just think he came in, he'd every right to go for the ball. The fella's come in, I think he's all right. I don't think the chap's as injured as he's lying down there. I think it's
the player, Jim.
Just a free kick. It's just a free kick. But you see, by booking the player earlier on, that's the problem he's made for himself. He set the standard.
Manchester United might have a problem here. Dietmar Hamann has a terrific right foot. Solano is there as well, but surely it's the German. And there's a little contretemps in the Manchester wall. Shearer disturbing. Solano takes the free kick, and it's over the crossbar, and Schmeichel had it covered all the way.
Yes, it was fairly well struck, but really not one of his better ones. I've seen him strike some lovely balls from that distance. I think the important thing really now for Manchester United is just to settle down. I think that's what the shout was just from the bench a moment ago. Just settle down, try and get into the new format. They've got the experience to do it. Sheringham, he can come on and play this role, no problem whatsoever.
Goal kick to Manchester United. Nearly 19 minutes played here on 5 Live in the World Service. Manchester United 1, Newcastle United 0 in the FA Cup final. And here's the goal scorer, Sheringham, heading into Scholes, almost on the centre spot, and Scholes clipped by Hamann, and he's got to be very careful, the German. That's a free kick to Manchester United, and Teddy Sheringham sticking his oar in, saying, hey, that's another foul by him, and you've already booked him. I think the referee knows it, Teddy. Beckham with a free kick, and drifted towards the left, towards Giggs. Griffin heads it away, but not powerfully. Giggs down to Sheringham, 20 yards out. Great tackle from Gary Speed. Ball breaks to Giggs. Giggs crossed too deep for Andy Cole, and Scholes chases across there. Solano is back helping out his defence, and Solano runs it away to the far touchline, and then cleverly plays it off Scholes, and it's a Newcastle throw.
Well, Scholes, of course, who knows he won't be playing against Bayern Munich, he's really covering some ground. He's working overtime here. He's really motored up and down that right-hand side quite a few times already, and he went all the way across then to get to close Newcastle down.
By the way, I meant to say something else before kick-off and didn't. Usual, very forgetful these days. No penalties to decide this, lads, eh? Settle it in extra time, if not normal time, but let's not have an FA Cup final decided by penalties. Manchester United lead 1-0. Solskjaer on towards the edge, of the Newcastle penalty, and Charvet took that as well on his mid-drift and cleared left-footed. Knocked back by Ronnie Johnson, and Leamus controls it. Teddy Sheringham in there again, as is a man. Sheringham wins. Back to Scholes. Giggs. Good play by Manchester United. Sheringham. Giggs again. Cole in the penalty area. Giggs down the left. Helped by Phil Neville. It's stinked towards Phil Neville, whose cross is lifted towards the near post, but straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, Harper.
Yes, Giggs' pass was just a little tentative, really. With one or two players snapping at him, young Griffin, and he laid it out down the left-hand side. It was going to be a very awkward ball for Philip Neville.
Steve Harper, the Newcastle goalkeeper, hits the clearance over the halfway line. Shearer claims he was fouled by Johnson. Not given. Sheringham to Giggs. On to Cole, and Cole tried to play it back to the Welshman, who was running freely through, but Newcastle take it off Manchester United again. Lee, poor ball forward. Johnson with a header down to Scholes. Beckham and Scholes again. 20 yards short of the halfway line, and as he tried to play it with the outside of his right foot, speed intercepted and deflects it away out of play for a throw-in to the Manchester side. Already champions and leading 1-0 in the cup final, and the mere matter of Barcelona in the European Cup final coming up in 4 days' time. Phil Neville with a throw-in onto the head of Giggs, and Sheringham towards Beckham. Good play once more. They are smoothly into gear, Manchester United now. Sheringham to Cole. He's tackled by Davizas, and the ball goes out of play, but the fluency is now in their play, Jimmy. That goal really has settled them very well.
Yes, they knocked the ball around well, of course, and they're confident they've won the Premiership. That itself is a terrific boost coming.
Great throwing by Phil Neville. Magnificent control by Giggs, but then he attempted, I think it was a shot rather than a cross to Cole, and it's through to the goalkeeper, Harper.
I'm not sure what it was really, but he right-footed it anyway, right into Harper's hands. But I'm saying, I think, to come here with the Premiership already in the bag, you're confident already, and I think that's, one of the key issues. And to get the early goal, it just adds to the confidence factor.
Domi to Solano, and now Charvet ahead of the centre circle inside the Manchester half. Solano, good run by Domi down the left, and Solano looking to pick him out. Gary Neville's close by and should have got there first, but didn't. Can Domi control it? The ball is still in play, edge of the penalty area, and now it's headed behind by Gary Neville. Or the referee, Peter Jones, I think, has spotted a little nudge by Domi. It's a free kick to Manchester United, who lead 1-0. We're at the midway point in the first half, and here's Michael Ian.
Well, it occurs to me, Alan, that the FA Cup can always come up with first, even now, even after 118 finals. I can't believe that a substitute before an FA Cup final has come on and scored so quickly as Sheringham has here today. And it would be heartbreaking for those Newcastle fans to be empty-handed for the second year running. But still time for them to come back, but now they're having to defend a free kick down this near side. Foul by Griffin, who's actually come out of that a lot worse, and Peter Jones is just looking after him and beckons for the physiotherapist to come on. So, injury to Griffin down the near side. And Jimmy Armfield, all the talk over the last few weeks about Roy Keane missing the European Cup final, ironically, he probably would anyway now.
With an ankle injury, yes. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that injury he had before, that he was suffering with a couple of weeks ago. But it's a shame, really, for a player to go out of cup finals. I've seen quite a few over the years. It's when they get here and then, they don't complete. But anyway, I don't know how bad young Griffin is here.
He's okay, I think. He's okay. And so, free kick to Manchester United, leading 1-0 in the cup final against Newcastle. 5 Live and BBC World Service. Live from Wembley. David Beckham now playing in central midfield. Flips in the free kick with the right foot, and Sheringham's there again, getting up above everybody else, heading it just wide of the target. And, of course, he will be a threat in the air, Teddy Sheringham.
Well, at this moment, he's the key player. He wasn't in the original starting lineup. We've been on the field for about 25 minutes. How many minutes? 25 minutes almost, and he's the key player now, because the balls are being knocked into him. That was a lovely free kick from Beckham. And Sheringham timed his run to perfection. Got his head onto it. Not enough, though.
Graham Taylor with us today, of course, gave Sheringham his international debut. And Manchester United looking very strong at the moment. Gary Neville at right back, no way forward. We've got the brothers playing out there today, so it's like the Greenoffs and the Comptons and the Harrises in days gone by. The two brothers, Philip and Gary, playing for Manchester United, leading 1-0 in the sunshine at Wembley. And Manchester United, it keeps coming back to them now. They're winning most of the things in midfield, and it might run out to Andy Cole. Out comes the goalkeeper. He gets there first, does Harper. Clatters into Andy Cole. Peter Jones has blown his whistle. And let me give you the latest from the cricket. Not very good from England's point of view. 9 for 2 after 5 overs. South Africa earlier 225 for 7. The target 226 at the Oval and England are 9 for 2. Jimmy Armfield.
Andy Cole just went a little bit early there. He was well offside, about 4 or 5 yards at the end. Young Harper hasn't had anything to do really so far, just one shot from Giggs that went right into his midriff across from young Philip Neville on the left-hand side. But he came out there, read it very well. He played what I call the averages game. He was making sure he thought Cole was offside.
And here he comes. He can't be superstitious. He's a goalkeeper wearing 13 in an FA Cup final. Here comes the free kick for Newcastle, looking for Shearer. Well won, though, by Ronnie Johnson, and cleared well up in the air by Paul Scholes. It hasn't gone very far at all. May tries to clear it, and eventually Manchester United get the ball back to the halfway line. Domi's there down the left-hand side, finding Solano. Nice turn from him. To the leggy Haman. Haman manages to ride the first challenge from Beckham finds Ketsbaia. Ketsbaia doesn't control it, though, and Johnson's able to give the back pass to Schmeichel, who clears hurriedly to the far side for a Newcastle throw-in. Much better from Newcastle.
Well, that was a half chance, really. If Ketsbaia had taken the ball, first touch, he would have been with a chance.
Throw-in taken. It's Domi down the far side, playing a 1-2 off a couple of Manchester United players. Domi back to Solano. Solano tries to snake the ball through to Ketsbaia. Cleared by May, but better from Newcastle. Griffin now, finding Shearer, who finds Robert Lee down the near side. Shearer makes his way towards the penalty area. Big ball comes in from Griffin, not high enough though. May's there with the clearance, and the clearance is completed by Giggs. But Newcastle in the black and white win it, and the supporters away to our left look like a huge army, a huge herd of zebras away to our left. Now looking on and looking a little more hopeful perhaps as Newcastle start to get some possession. The ball is with Gary Speed, who's playing at the back at the moment. That's a poor one across to the far side. He makes Griffin backtrack around about 10 yards, and Griffin can't go forward. He's closed down by Ryan Giggs and gives the ball back again to the man from County Durham away to our left. Steve Harper in the Newcastle goal. Right-footed clearance from him. Aimed towards Shearer. Shearer takes a tumble, but he's backing into Ronnie Johnson, and the free kick is given to Manchester United.
Yes, it's an interesting confrontation here between Johnson and Shearer. Of course, he'll stand his ground. Johnson's standing his ground as well. The referee's got to weigh it all up. It's not easy. I think he's right there. I think Shearer was backing into Johnson.
27 minutes gone in the Cup final, live from Wembley on 5 Live and BBC World Service. Manchester United chasing the double, chasing the treble, leading 1-0 through Teddy Sheringham's goal. And here comes the free kick taken by Schmeichel. And Andy Cole's jumping on the 6-yard line. Cole's not giving this one up. He managed to get a volley in there, but Harper was waiting. And again, those central defenders not too convincing when the questions were being asked of them inside the penalty area. Harper's clearance now. Remember, Steve Howie is not available to Ruud Gullit today. He's a long-term absentee, and they do miss him. Eventually, the ball trickles out of play down below on the halfway line. Philip Neville in Dennis Irwin's position. Of course, that was an option lost to Ferguson today when Keane came off. He couldn't put Philip Neville into central midfield because Dennis Irwin is suspended. Manchester United don't get very far from that throw-in. And now Andy Griffin, the former Stoke player, has a throw-in down this near side. This is the Royal Box side of Wembley. Newcastle's right in the first half. They're trailing 1-0 to a Sheringham goal. Shearer this time gets the free kick. And thought about taking it quickly. He'll leave it in the end, though, to Haman. The ball was kicked away there by Giggs, has to be careful. And the free kick is just nudged off by Haman to Andy Griffin down the Newcastle right. He did so well against Genoa in the semi-final. Lee now. Lee's being forced back well by Philip Neville, and then Lee gets the pass all wrong into midfield. Cole on the halfway line, trying to slip round his marker, but Newcastle get a good ball to the far side. Domi finding Gary Speed, running from the deep. Speed hits a long one, aimed towards Shearer, and the flag is up near side. Shearer penalised. Free kick to Manchester United on the edge of their own area. Almost half an hour gone, and Manchester United leading 1-0.
Yes, I don't think there's a great deal in the game. I don't think Manchester United are that superior or anything at the moment. There's just been that one slip in Newcastle's defence, not picking up the runner. Excellent play, though, by Sheringham and Scholes that brought the goal that's separating the teams.
Here comes the free kick, away to our right, taken by Peter Schmeichel in the Manchester United goal. Sheringham this time is beaten in the air by Davisas, who played in the cup final last year. Scholes is crowded out, and in comes some really good challenges from Newcastle. Eventually, though, it doesn't run their way, and Manchester United flip the ball down this near side. And it's a rather tatty bit of play, and then a long one from Giggs is wasted. And Harper's there to clear for Newcastle. Newcastle trailing 1-0. The ball is with Griffin down the near side. He can't go forward. He was played into trouble, really, by his keeper. Now his keeper clears, and this ball will reach the halfway line. Haman's header. He got a bit too much underneath that one, but Haman now on the floor this time. Haman hits it strongly down the right-hand side, looks for Ketsbaia. Across comes Ronnie Johnson, playing in his first cup final And it's out of play. There's a free kick being given, I think,
against Ketsbaia. He hasn't done a kick yet.
No, he hasn't.
Ketsbaia, he can't get in the game at all.
Can I just remind you, in case you haven't been with us right from the start, the subs today: Shay Given, Warren Barton, Silvio Maric, Duncan Ferguson, Stephen Glass for Newcastle, Raymond van der Houw, Dwight York, Jesper Blomqvist and Jaap Stam for Manchester United, with Sheringham having come on already. And we've now played exactly half an hour.
Well, if I was Ruud Gullit, I'd get Ketsbaia coming from the deep for a little bit.
Now the ball is with Solskjaer. Sheringham, nice touch from Sheringham. Beckham 30 yards out, drives it wide. That's a goal kick to Newcastle, away to the left. So exactly a third of the game gone, and let's hear again from our guest today, Graham Taylor, the manager of Watford. Graham, what are your latest thoughts?
Well, Mike, I don't think either side has got into any real rhythm at all. I do believe that Newcastle have got to play with more purpose and more conviction to be able to bring this back. Whereas Manchester United, basically, I think they've moved the ball about that little bit better, but they haven't really had a cutting edges yet. So I still think the game has got somewhere to go yet before it really takes off.
Shearer, thank you, Graham, near side. Shearer taking on Johnson. Johnson doing very well, but that's going to be a free kick now to Newcastle. It's a mix here of sunshine and clouds. It's sunny at the moment, and Wembley looks a picture. You always associate FA Cup finals with sunshine and here comes a Newcastle free kick down the near side, and here's a chance. Charvet goes into the area. Dabisas as well, the two centre-backs. And the free kick will be taken by the Peruvian Solano down the near side. Gary Speed's always quite dangerous in these situations. In it goes, and that's volleyed away by, in the end, Speed, I think it was. Johnson was pretty close by, and it's gone over the bar. It was a disappointing end product, no end product at all, really. And a goal kick to Manchester United.
Yes, it would have been spectacular if that had gone in. I was just saying earlier, I think if I was Ruud Gullit, try and get Ketsbaia in the game. I think he's good at running with the ball, Ketsbaia. If I was him, I'd just put him a little bit deeper and give May a bit of a problem. If he keeps lying up there, he's going to get picked up.
13 minutes to go in the first half. Not too distinguished at the moment, the game. Scholes to Sheringham. Where's the marking? Sheringham's unmarked, and the ball towards Solskjaer down the far side was a little short, but Beckham's won it back again. Beckham on the chase down the Manchester United right, settles for the throw-in, and they must get tighter on Teddy Sheringham, these Newcastle defenders. It's a throw to Manchester United. It's some 10 yards or so from the corner flag over on the far side, and they'll leave it for Gary Neville. Sheringham and Cole and Giggs all in the area, and now joining them is Solskjaer. Here comes the throw taken by Gary Neville. Sheringham, it doesn't get that one. It'll fall to Beckham, though. Beckham lifts it superbly. Back to Gary Neville down the Manchester United right. Chance to cross here by Gary Neville. Sheringham got a glancing header. He's headed it sideways. Giggs will keep it in down the near side. Hits it straight at Griffin. Gets it back again. And Giggs was hoping that would go out for a throw-in. Instead, he finds Sheringham. Volleyed in by Sheringham and cleared at the back by Newcastle United. Newcastle at times looking very vulnerable. Cole's there now, lifts the ball over Harper. Back comes Dabisas, and Cole couldn't get any power in the strike, and Dabisas was able to clear, but Newcastle all over the place. Clearance now by Newcastle, and that's going to go out of play.
Well, it was actually cleared off the line. The goalkeeper was beaten. If Cole had got anything on it at all, it'd have been 2-0. But he didn't. He only half hit it. That was a chance gone.
Chance for Manchester United and Andy Cole against his former club to put the game perhaps even now beyond Newcastle. Speed hits a long one. Ketsbaia's full of running down the left-hand side. Ketsbaia holes, faced by May. He's got Solano square. He's going all the way into the air at the moment, Ketsbaia. Needs support, drags it back, poor one into midfield. It still breaks to Speed, and that's too high. He snatched at it, and it's gone into the big area behind Schmeichel's goal.
Well, that was a good return, and Ketsbaia at last got a chance to run out to the left-hand side. I thought he'd have gone on his own, but he didn't. He checked back in, and I think that's because he's been out of the game for so long, for about half an hour. Rather, he's hardly been in the game. If he'd have had a bit of confidence, then he'd have gone on his own. He laid it back, and Newcastle couldn't provide that sort of finish because by then United had covered all the points.
Ruud Gullit orchestrating from the touchline, and now his team having to defend once more. Newcastle trailing here to a Teddy Sheringham goal. Sheringham coming on as a substitute after 8 minutes for Roy Keane. And you're listening to 5 Live and BBC World Service. Graham Taylor, the Watford manager, is with us as well, and we'll be hearing much more from him throughout the afternoon. Now, the ball is on the halfway line. They leave it to Gary Speed. Speed with a left foot, knocks it across to the far side. Again, it didn't really reach its target first time, but Domi's there eventually down that left-hand side for Newcastle. Long, rather aimless ball, which May should cut out for Manchester United. Lovely turn now by Gary Neville against Solano. Then he's brought down. Speed motions to the referee. It was a dive, but it's a free kick to Manchester United. who's still overall, Jimmy Armfield, are looking pretty comfortable here with 10 minutes left in the first half.
Well, I wouldn't say comfortable. They look slightly more comfortable than Newcastle, particularly at the back. And I think that's what's really going to matter here.
Gary Neville takes the free kick, strikes it long. Sheringham will try and flick this on for Cole. It's up in the air. Cole gets a knockdown, but Newcastle will clear this, playing from left to right, defending the tunnel end at Wembley and trailing here to that goal from Teddy Sheringham. Robert Lee takes plenty of time, and in the end he drags the ball back into his own half to find Griffin, the right back. Lee again, but there's no space for him now down below us. Philip Neville's doing well against Robert Lee, and it's out of play as Bullitt shows his skills and flicks the ball towards the young fullback Griffin, whose throw is aimed towards Ket Spire. 1-0 to Manchester United. The goal from Sheringham, and the ball now is with Charvet of Newcastle. Charvet, poor ball, cut out by Giggs, and a misunderstanding between Giggs and Sheringham, and Newcastle have another go. It's played into midfield. Nice touch off by Speed, but again, poor play from Charvet. Very hurried play from the Frenchman at the back. Charvet again now, hits it long. Shearer tries to cushion the header down to Ket Spire. Solano made a charge on the outside, but Ket Spire with good skill eventually brings Domi into the game down the left-hand side. Now it's Ket Spire once more, rolling ball onto the German Hamann. Hamann gets past Scholes. Here's the shot from Hamann, and it's just kept out by Schmeichel. Schmeichel gets down rather late there. Perhaps he saw that one a little late. Got a fingertip to it, and low down turns it away for a Newcastle corner. A deceptively good strike there by Dietmar Hamann.
Well, that's the best from Newcastle so far. Schmeichel was at full stretch to the left-hand post there. Lovely play, first of all, by Ket Spire. He's starting to creep into the game. That's good for Newcastle.
And it's a short corner, and they feed Solano. Solano can't get the cross, and he's hit Giggs on the backside. Comes back, though, to Robert Lee. The centre-backs have stayed forward following that corner, and Shearer's appealing there for a push, but Manchester United are able to clear to the far side, and it's going to be throw-in. So good strike there by Hamann. First German to play in the cup final since Bert Trautmann. And Bert Trautmann, of course, played against Newcastle for Manchester City in the 55 final when he was the loser, and then, of course, a year later dramatically won in the final against Birmingham City. Manchester United won, Newcastle 0. Sheringham's goal. Cole with a turn. Turns in towards Dabisas. Chases the ball back well, though, for his team, and then manages to thread it to Scholes. Starting his first cup final today, Paul Scholes. He was a sub on the other occasions. Manchester United this time lose the ball in midfield, and Hamann has little space. Again, the ball into Ket Spire was a bit short, makes him stretch. In comes a challenge from Beckham, and referee has given a free kick to Newcastle. 30 yards away from Schmeichel's goal, to the right as we look at it. And Hamann, having just put in that very good strike a few moments ago, might fancy this, or indeed Solano, who scored with a spectacular free kick at St James's Park earlier in the season. He might fancy this as well. Hamann's making a mark. This kick, as I say, is some 30 yards away from Schmeichel's goal in the sunshine at Wembley. 7 minutes left in the first half. Manchester United leading 1-0, but now having to defend this free kick. And it's going to be Hamann, and that's been spanked well wide in the end of the target. Poor free kick. Schmeichel just stares back at the German, and it's a goal kick to Manchester United.
I'm not convinced that was a shot at goal then. I think what he tried to do was drive the ball just wide of the wall, because Newcastle had two players running onto it, and it was going a little bit too fast for either of them. But at least there are one or two more positive signs for the Newcastle supporters. That was a good shot earlier from Hamann, and Schmeichel's first real save.
A final still lacking real quality, though. 1-0 to Manchester United. And Solano in there for Newcastle. They mustn't concede another one before half-time now. It's Philip Neville for Manchester United, down the left-hand side. Short pass into Scholes. Back again to Philip Neville. Lovely switch from Sheringham. Good play by Manchester United. Solskjaer's drifted in field. Stabs the ball back to Beckham, working hard in central midfield. The ball goes to the far side. Lots of options open now. Gary Neville's early cross in. Sheringham with a header. Just wide. Great play by Manchester United. Sheringham holds his head, and that was so close.
Well, that was the best move of the match so far. I counted 8 passes from back to front. Lovely little exchange in the end between Beckham and Neville. Neville's such an important player now for Manchester United. And one thing I like about him and Beckham, they get this cross in early. They don't need a second touch. First cross in, Sheringham with header on the near post, just past the post.
That would have been a fantastic goal. Sheringham close to his second. 1-0 Manchester United lead. One of Sheringham's greatest games, of course, was here playing for England against Holland in Euro 96. He's got the goal dividing these two sides. And good teamwork again now from Manchester United as they move inside the Newcastle half and Some strong running down the left-hand side initially by Philip Neville, and now Ryan Giggs takes over. Ryan Giggs with a left-footed ball in, which is too strong for Andy Cole. It's still in play down the left, and across comes Solano and works it very well down the line. And now Newcastle look to Dabisas to launch them from the back. 1-0 to Manchester United into the last 5 minutes of what's been overall a disappointing first half. But Alex Ferguson won't mind about that. Now Shearer's a couple of yards offside. That pass out of defence was delayed, really. They need to get things moving quicker than that. Manchester United push up, and it's a free kick for Schmeichel to take responsibility for.
Well, the absence of Keane, of course, blow to Manchester United. For the people who are arriving late, he had to limp off after about 10 minutes. But Beckham's gone in there alongside Scholes, and they look very good.
And the free kick is taken by Schmeichel. Cole shields his eyes there against the sunshine. And Scholes wins the header, and Giggs tucks the ball down the near side. And Philip Neville tries to get in first against Andy Griffin. Still a bit of work here for the Newcastle defender to do. It's Robert Lee in the right-back position. And in the end, the referees come to his rescue, Peter Jones, because he's penalised the challenge which came in from Andy Cole. And a free kick to be taken by Steve Harper. So it's interesting to see David Beckham playing in the central midfield position here today. You wonder whether he might do that in Barcelona on Wednesday night. Though there will be the option of Nicky Butt, of course, who's been kept on ice for that game, not even on the bench, as Alan Green was saying today for this cup final. 1-0 to Manchester United, in search of their third double of the decade. And now Beckham again emerges with the ball. Beckham taking on Solano down the right-hand side and easily going past the Peruvian. Beckham with a long one, tries to clear the defender, but Charvet was there, otherwise Cole would have been in. Good defending this time by Charvet. Turns and gives the ball to fellow countryman Domi. Nudge down the line, and now Domi again. Short of the halfway line. Domi's ball touched off by Shearer, and Shearer and Ketspire not really clicking at all in this game yet. And it's back again with Schmeichel.
I don't think they're getting the serves. You're going to get the best out of Alan Shearer. You've got to be getting the crosses in. You've got to be getting the ball a bit earlier to him than they're getting it. He's actually fighting a bit of a lost cause, I feel, at the moment, because I think if I was Ruud Gullit, I'd be a little bit concerned. I can't see Solano getting in this game at the moment. And speed, he seems to be running around challenging people. But when I'm talking about something constructive to try and free the front players, not too much.
This is the cup final, 5 Live, World Service, BBC Radio. Manchester United 1 up against Newcastle. Newcastle came out very, very aggressively at the start. And Keane got the injury after the challenge from Speed. Off he went, on came Sheringham, goal after 10 minutes. And England now 22 for 2, staging a bit of a recovery, needing 2-2-6 to beat South Africa in the Cricket World Cup. Not very many miles away from here at the Oval. Throw to Newcastle as we approach the end of the first half. Good challenge coming in from Solskjaer, and the clearance by Scholes. Long one from Scholes. It'll fall in play down the near side. Cole with a poor touch, though. Can't control it, and it runs away disappointingly for Alex Ferguson's team for a throw to Newcastle. We've got a couple of minutes left. Steve McLaren, I noticed down there, Ferguson's right-hand man. He's literally sitting on his right hand as well today, down there. He's just been out there trying to get a message across. And very soon from the fourth official, we'll be finding out how much added time there will be. Now a bit of defending for United to do. That's Manchester United. Philip Neville thinks about the back pass, gives it to Schmeichel. Schmeichel takes one touch and then hoofs it towards this near side. Still beautiful sunshine lighting up Wembley. Indeed, the afternoon is much better than the game at the moment. 1-0 to Manchester United.
I think that sunshine, I've played at Wembley in these conditions. It sometimes can be a bit difficult for the way Newcastle are playing. When you're looking right into that sun, it can be a little bit difficult. People seem to forget that.
Good point, Jim. And now Manchester United looking to counter. Lovely back flick from Giggs. Sheringham strikes that too long. The intention was right. You could see that he was trying to expose that central defence again, but the execution wasn't. And Harper's 5 yards out of his area once more. The last few seconds of this first half. Manchester United leading by Sheringham's goal. In goes Sheringham again. And Scholes is there. Roy Keane style, really, to pick up the bits and pieces in midfield. Scholes is having to play a more withdrawn role now. In goes Scholes again. Scholes tries to find Sheringham. There was a little bit of a carry-on there between Speed and Beckham after the ball had gone, and Speed and Beckham are still carrying on, and at the moment Peter Jones has got his back to them. Now he sensed that something's just happening, and
you should have a word with them. He hasn't done.
And I'm just wondering whether that's a carry-on, really, from the first 8 minutes of the game when Roy Keane was injured following the challenge by Gary Speed. Now, can you see that sign down there? 2 minutes, I think it says, in the sunshine of added time. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, and now Beckham as a defender, and then he gives it back to Johnson, and it's with Schmeichel. Left-footed clearance by the Big Dane. Last game in England, his last major appearance in England for Manchester United. This is his 4th FA Cup final. Philip Neville, back again to Schmeichel. Just the loser once here with United against Everton in 95, the ride-out goal. Now Beckham with an intelligent header which draws applause for Gary Neville down the far side. Solskjaer, who's been quite quiet really. He's not playing in his favourite position though, down the right, as Cole gets away from the defender. Cross comes Charvet though. Charvet there to help out, and a desperate clearance by Newcastle. It's Cole again on the edge of the area. Left-footed shot was too soft, and an easy save by Harper. They are living dangerously at times, Newcastle at the back.
Yeah, they look uncertain. You know, they look uncertain at the back. I think that's the way to put it, really. Every so often there's an error from one of them, and the last thing you need, really, is consistency you need from your back players.
Beckham gets the better of speed and will have enjoyed that. Beckham now going on the outside of Domi, and he's got Solano, though, as well, and between them they take care of Beckham, but then Newcastle don't get very far in retaliation. And once more, Schmeichel's there on the edge of his area. Just the one big save he's had to make in the first half, really, to keep out Haman. Now Beckham trying to show more control in midfield. The last minute of the first half, Solano with a stooping header finds Haman. Haman on to Solano once more. Shearer's desperate to try and get a chance. Ball is played in the area. Ketspire slips, and Philip Neville wants the ball to cross the line. Eventually it does, and it's a goal kick to Manchester United. And Newcastle totally unable here so far to service their great captain Alan Shearer. They haven't really given him anything at all to feed off.
No, if I was Ruud Gullit, I'd take the half-time whistle now. If I was him, you know, I'd be content to say, right, let's go and try and sort one or two things out at the break. He's got to get better service to his front two players, but it's not easy because a lot depends on what goes on in the midfield and the two fullbacks. That's the half-time.
Well, there's the half-time whistle, 1-0 to Manchester United, so anything, I suppose, is still possible. Newcastle still very much alive and kicking in the game, but Jim, they're going to have to improve here.
Yes, and if I was Ruud Gullit now, what I would do, I think he's got to get Ketspire a little bit more into the game, and he's got to, if it persists as it has gone in the first half, he's got to get a bit more from Solano somehow. And the other thing is Griffin and Domi down the flanks. I think they've not really progressed, never really stretched, I don't think, enough. And I think that's the problem Newcastle have. They're not out of this by any means, Mike. 1-0, anything can happen yet, and they've got the problem Manchester United who are facing that sun. People don't put any, store on this. It does have a little bit of effect, and who knows?
Well, the fans...
You're listening to FA Cup Final Sports World on the BBC World Service. We'll be back at Wembley in good time for the second half, rest assured. World Cup cricket and other sports news coming up. But now, time for a bulletin of world news.
Minutes of the game, Sheringham came on as Peter Jones blows his whistle. Manchester United defending the tunnel end in the second half. Peter Schmeichel is the goalkeeper. The defenders are Gary Neville, David May, Ronnie Johnson and Phil Neville. Then in midfield it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, David Beckham, Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs. Strikers, the goal scorer, Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole. And Newcastle United have made a change at half-time because we gather that Dietmar Hamann has a hip injury, it appears. That and the fact that they also have to score, of course. Steve Harper is their goalkeeper. The defenders, and I use that term loosely, Andy Griffin, Laurent Charvet, Nikos Davizas and Didier Domi. Then in midfield now we've got Robert Lee, Gary Speed and Alberto Solano with Timuri Ketspire, Alan Shearer and Duncan Ferguson. And what can they do in this position? A goal down, Newcastle United, to the team that's already won the Premiership title and is winning this final so far, Jimmy Armfield, playing well within themselves. In fact, they're not playing that well because they don't have to play that well.
Oh, well, they've definitely passed the ball better. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens here with Ferguson, because Ferguson's going to play up there in the front line with Shearer. Ketspire will drop behind them. Imam's gone off. He got a hip injury. Of course, he got that knock early on. He came to the treatment just to the side here when King got injured as well. Speed will go in the middle, and Lee will move in with Solano. Be interesting to see now how they cope with this. I think they can only improve in the middle of the field. Whether they can get enough service to the front players, though,
well, that's the thing, Jimmy, because it appears the way they've lined up, they're sacrificing a bit of width here. And Ferguson and Shearer need the ball played in from the flanks. We'll see. A minute and a half played in the second half here in the 118th FA Cup final. Manchester United lead 1-0, and you're listening to the BBC, whether it's 5 Live or the World Service. Robert Lee does well, holds off 2 challenges.
Forward to Kitspire, who's dropped deep. He's inside the centre circle. Now he's ahead of it. Oh, poor pass from him, ahead of Duncan Ferguson. And it's half cleared, but picked up by Lee again. Robert Lee comes forward now, about 30 yards from goal. Kitspire to his right. It's played to the Georgian. Kitspire on his left foot. Shoots from long range, and it bumbles behind for a goal kick.
Well, that's better. At least it's better. There's a bit more positive play there from Newcastle. The 2 or 3 players going forward. Kitspire, I always feel, is better when he's running from a deeper position than when he's in the front line. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I think he is. He's better at actually running with the ball, and he created a little bit of something. Whether Ferguson's fit enough for this, we shall have to see.
Well, he's only played 182 minutes, Jimmy, in 1999 so far. We'll see whether his nuisance value can turn the tide here for Newcastle United, who trail Manchester United by a goal to nil. Teddy Sheringham's goal, 2 minutes after coming on as substitute for Roy Keane. There's a foul by Phil Neville on Alan Shearer, and a free kick to Newcastle, a little short of the halfway line, right in the centre circle, left for Laurent Charvet, and Newcastle have pushed everybody forward inside the Manchester half. Charvet's free kick, deep. Ferguson wins it in the air, heads it down inside the penalty area, and it's cleared by a combination of men. Gary Neville headed back in there by speed. Mistake, Ferguson through, and Schmeichel dives at his feet and gathers the ball. David May should have cleared.
Yes, I don't know what Schmeichel's complaining at there. I don't think Ferguson went in with his foot or anything. And interesting that if Ferguson actually would have read it, he might have been in with a bit of a shout.
Well, it was a free kick, Jimmy, awarded. I don't know what for. Was there an offside flag? I didn't see it.
It didn't look offside to me, but anyway, the referee had quite clearly blown. But a few little positive signs, at least, from Newcastle now.
Gary Neville with a throw-in for Manchester United, short of the halfway line and launched down the right touchline. Headed away by Dabizas. Solano flicks the ball over Solskjaer. They can't really get into the game playing wide on the right for the Manchester side. But David May picks up the ball and forward towards Andy Cole. Charvet intercepts, finds Lee, back to speed. And now Griffin on the far side. Griffin with a long pass back to his goalkeeper. And Harper controls it first before clearing right footed. Just drifting over the halfway line. Shearer jumps, heads it into the centre circle, but straight to David Beckham, who heads it straight to Laurent Charvet. An untidy start to the second half, and in all truth, it's not a great cup final. We haven't seen a great cup final for a very long while. Here's Andy Cole. Solskjaer behind him. It's played to the Norwegian, and then his pass is blocked, and Robert Lee takes the ball away, but then runs into Ryan Giggs, who finds Solskjaer and Sheringham. Solskjaer again, good tackle by Dabizas, who wins it back for Newcastle. Robert Lee to the far side in Griffin, and hear the roar from the Tyneside section of Wembley Stadium. Away to our left, and that's the end that Newcastle are attacking in the second half. But Ryan Giggs has the ball for Manchester United, and Cole gets away from Charvet. Sheringham to his right, 20 yards infield. Cole's inside the penalty area, plays the ball low across the face of goal, and is cleared by Dabizas, and Cole didn't make the best use of that.
No, he didn't. Dabizas did well to get it away, and then Charvet got caught. He really did. Caught wrong side of the player.
51 minutes played. Manchester United 1, Newcastle United 0. Ferguson on a substitute at half-time to Domi. And infield to Gary Speed, ahead of the halfway line. Awful pass from him, straight through to Phil Neville. Neville back to Schmeichel, and Schmeichel whacks it straight into the crowd on the far side of the field.
Yeah, a bit of impetus though with Newcastle, I feel. It seemed to me as though they're chasing around a little bit here. They've got a little bit of belief in themselves, I feel, at the moment.
They'll need a break though, Jimmy.
Oh, they've got to get the next goal.
A goal for Manchester United, and we may as well go home. Lee hits it forward. Ferguson jumps well, heads it down, but it's behind Alan Shearer, and Scholes is there for Manchester United, playing it to Phil Neville. Neville forward to Giggs, back to Scholes, careful passing on to Sheringham. Sheringham tried to get it back to Giggs. It wasn't a great ball to Teddy Sheringham, and Newcastle have it back. Kitspire, who's dropped deeper since Ferguson's come on. Kitspire 40 yards from goal. Good run down the left by Domi, and he picks out the Frenchman with a pass. Left of the penalty area, on his left foot, crosses and hits Gary Neville, and it's behind for a corner to Newcastle.
Yes, Domi's got forward, at long last, because he can play in this position, he can get forward, and he's got a good left foot, this lad.
Solano to take the corner. And the Newcastle fans looking for any encouragement. You'd think the cheer throwing at the moment. They've got a corner. It's played short to Solano. Solano gets the cross into the near post, and Gary Neville with a careful header away, out of play. And it's a throw into Newcastle, but much further away from the United penalty area.
I can't understand that. They just brought Ferguson on. The first thing I would do is test the goalkeeper and the central defenders with Ferguson's height.
Solano down the left, and that may have hit Gary Neville's hand, but it's certainly unintentional.
and play continues. It's cleared by Manchester United and then picked up by Robert Lee for Newcastle. Back to Domi. Domi forward. Ferguson heads it on. Good play. Shearer towards Ferguson again, and it was Johnson who stepped in, and that was a very important interception by the United central defender. But Newcastle have a little bit of momentum going here. 7 minutes played in the second half. They still trail though by 1-0. Solskjaer forward towards Giggs, and across comes Davizas, and Davizas running into the corner flag in his own half, and then clears. It wasn't a great clearance, picked up by Solskjaer, into Sheringham, into the penalty, laid back, Scholes can finish it, and he scored the second goal for Manchester United, and that could be the end of Newcastle's challenge. Paul Scholes, left-footed, low to the right of Harper. Manchester United 2, Newcastle United 0. Surely it's the double, and the treble is on.
Well, it was well worked, but frankly that was really poor defending. It really was, because there was one or two opportunities there to clear the ball. First of all, Davizas down the left-hand side. I don't know what he was thinking about, kicking the ball back into play from the corner flag when he was out there, but he did. And by the time the ball was returned into Sheringham and replayed back to Scholes, there were two Newcastle defenders there, both standing off the players. Manchester United did it absolutely perfectly. Sheringham lay off. Scholes, a great finish. Harper, no chance of saving.
Shall we go home now, Jim? Is there an early train?
Not yet. Not yet.
I can't see Newcastle recovering from this situation. Just cannot see it. Well, the hustle and bustle about their efforts at the start of the second half, but still no incision. And talking about them needing a break, well, they need a miracle now. 2-0 down to Manchester United, and it's a long while since Newcastle scored a goal in a cup final at Wembley. 1955 was the last one. Mr. Hannah, who you informed me was George Hannah. Now they're going to have to score 3 times to win the FA Cup final.
Yeah, what's happening here? What's he doing now? He's letting them treat him on the field now.
Beckham, I don't know what happened to Beckham there.
Why is he letting him treat him on the field?
I don't know. England, I don't want to really read out this cricket score. Have you heard it? England 44 for 4 after 17 overs. Graham Hick is out for 21, or as it says here, double OT. He's out anyway, he's back in the pavilion. And Newcastle United may as well be back in the dressing room. Beckham's still receiving some treatment to his face. And after all this interruption, there'll be a free kick to Newcastle United, who must be in total despair.
Yes, they've got to try and get a goal as quick as they can here. They've got to try and get back into it somehow. I mean, so there's only been the odd occasion they've looked as though they might score. Schmeichel's only really been tested once in this match. To be fair, Harper's not been tested that much, but they've got the 2 important strikes. Scholes, good finish that. Lovely layoff by Sheringham again. He's been a key player so far.
Hasn't Sheringham played so well of late that you think he actually must be seriously in the frame for Wednesday night? No matter about York and Cole's goals, Sheringham is playing that well. But we'll see. Only Alex Ferguson knows. Free kick to Newcastle. Charvet takes it, flicks to the edge of the Manchester penalty area and cleared by Manchester United. Good control by Cole to find Giggs, and Scholes is running through completely unmarked inside right channel. It's a deep ball by Giggs, but a poor one, and it runs through to the Newcastle goalkeeper Harper.
Yeah, he did well, Harper, there. He came and played the odds game. He came right out to the edge of his area just in case he had to manoeuvre himself about to this right-hand side where Scholes was making a run. If Giggs' pass had been true and accurate, Newcastle would have been in trouble there.
Solskjaer was also running down the right unmarked. Ferguson heads the ball on. Shearer is after it, and Gary Neville's there first. Back to Peter Schmeichel, who screws the clearance out off the outside of his right foot into the crowd on the near side. And Ruud Gullit's just come out to the touchline and issued instruction, but, well, it takes genius to turn this situation around. Domi with a throw-in. Dwight York's going to come on for Manchester United. And it's as if Alex Ferguson knows this game is 1-9. He's saying, right, you go out for a few minutes and you can have a run out. I'm sure Yapstam will come on at some stage. On the far side, Robert Lee takes an awkward pass on his right thigh. Good ball back to Griffin. Robert Lee again. Crosses into the penalty. Shearer jumps. Schmeichel's there first. Foster gets by. He has to score. And he hits the post. May was standing on the line, covering the goal line, but gets by a shot, rebounded off the post. And there was bad luck when they needed good luck.
Well, they must be feeling it's not their day now. What happened? Schmeichel came out, made a mess of it, and he fell to catch fire. He went round Schmeichel and he's driven it and it's hit the post.
Giggs running forward, but beaten by Griffin. And now it's Rob Lee to Gary Speed. We play 57 minutes at Wembley in the FA Cup final, and you're listening to us on the BBC, of course, whether it's in the United Kingdom on 5 Live or all across the globe on the World Service. Solano, poor ball forward. Gary Neville, back to Beckham. Beckham looks for Dwight York, and Charvet just gets there first and heads the ball back to his goalkeeper, who throws out quickly in the far side to Griffin. One mistake there by Charvet, and Cole was through, and it was surely 3-0. Domi, back to Speed. Speed a little carelessly flicks the ball up, and then Solskjaer equally carelessly gives the ball away. Ketspire on the halfway line. Griffin running down the right. Ketspire's trying to find him. Has he overhit the pass? He has. Griffin tried hard to keep it in play, but couldn't.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things too. Now the second goal's gone in, the legs start to feel a little bit heavy. For when you're 2 goals down at Wembley in the sun.
Towering. And some despondency in the Newcastle camp. The Geordie fans who were so excited at the start of the second half, seeing a momentum build up for Newcastle United. Now again, flat on their backsides in those seats away to the left. Manchester fans singing. Domi comes forward, breaks off a defender. Ferguson tries to knock it to Ketspire. Giggs is in there. Well played round Giggs. His shirt was being pulled. Beckham takes it up, and Beckham, great vision, finds Sheringham. Good run by Solskjaer, but I said it found Sheringham. Davies has said, no, that's my ball, and he made a telling interception and brings it back to Newcastle. Lee.
Great ball by Davies. How he got to that, I don't know. It was very important.
Here's Griffin on the far side. Newcastle right. 58 minutes played. Manchester United lead 2-0. Back to Robert Lee. 40 yards from goal. Crosses weakly. May clears towards Robert Lee again. And Lee is beaten by Beckham, but Beckham diverted the ball away, but only out of play, and it's a throw into Newcastle, almost on the halfway line.
Yeah, they needed that goal, Newcastle, when Ketspire at the post. They needed it really for the spirit as much as anything else, but at least they're having a go at it here. Whether they can do anything about it, though, we haven't seen it so far.
Here's Gary Neville for Manchester United, right of his own penalty area, and he clears to the halfway line. It's going out over the touchline. Graham Taylor, the Watford manager, is watching and listening just about 5 yards to my left. Graham, your thoughts?
Well, Newcastle shot themselves in the foot with some horrific defending there. What Dabizas was thinking about with the ball in a deep left-back position there, and he just gave the ball away. They're basics, and these are the kind of things that let players down. They certainly needed the goal and need one within the next 10 minutes, I would think, to lift their spirits. But if they keep defending in the manner that they are doing, all that Manchester United have to do is keep passing and moving the ball about, and their chances will come, because on occasions the Newcastle back line, they just seem to disappear. I don't know where to, Alan, but they certainly go absent without leave.
I know of a cruel way of saying this, but when I was giving the team news, Graham, you heard me say, and here are the defenders for Newcastle, and I use that term loosely. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Now, Dwight York has come on, Andy Cole has come off, and Alex is thinking about Wednesday, isn't he? If Cole's going to start Wednesday, why let him tower out there when they're 2-0 up? Give York a run.
Yes, obviously when he can afford to do it at 2-0 as well. It's not bad when you've got York to come on as well. That's the strength of Manchester United. They have 20 players and no other club has that.
Giggs on towards York, but intercepted by the chest of Griffin, and Griffin hits it heftily upfield. Ferguson looking for Shearer. Shearer's foot was high, but it was evaded by Phil Neville. The referee's given a free kick anyway. Beckham tries to take it quickly, but in the wrong position, and Peter Jones is going to call it back.
He's taking the quick free kick. What's he doing, this referee? Anyway, he's given the free kick. United took it, and he's brought it back.
Well, it was from the wrong position. Clearly the wrong position. 61 minutes played. This is 5 Live in the World Service on the BBC. Manchester United 2, Newcastle United 0. Sheringham and Scholes for the goals. Phil Neville's free kick. Right-footed. Sheringham allows it to run. Dabizas heads it away, and it's trickling towards the touchline near side of the field. There's Alex Ferguson out there, and he wants to play, doesn't he? And that's why you're not playing, Alex, because that was a terrible pass to Gary Neville. Throw into Gary Neville. Charvet takes it though and runs back into trouble and needlessly concedes a corner.
Yes, what they're doing really, they're making their own problems, Newcastle. They really are. Charvet, all he had to do there was kick the ball out, get back into his own penalty area. What you're doing, you're just handing the ball now to Manchester United, corner kick.
Beckham's corner from the right, and the United fans
wishing for a third goal to make absolutely certain. It's headed away. Collected by Scholes. Scholes to the far side, and Johnson. Oh, no, what am I talking about? It's Giggs left of the penalty area and taking on the defender. Pulls across back. York must score, and he misses. Heads it over the crossbar. Oh dear, that should have been 3-0.
Well, that's the first time that Giggs has really sprung into what I call, real action today. He's had one or two decent runs, but that was really telling. He got round the outside of Griffin, put his crossover beautifully, and York, 6 yards out, free header, all on his own, has headed it over the top. If York had been on about 5 or 10 minutes longer, I think he'd have put that one in.
Any cricket followers of a nervous disposition, please just close your ears for a second. England 45 for 5 in the 18th over, chasing 226 to beat South Africa. Flintoff, the latest man, out for naught. Abysmal. 2-0 to Manchester United. Schmeichel hits the ball to the halfway line, headed back by Charvet, and Ferguson definitely doesn't look fit. That was just a token effort as May played it upfield. York to Beckham. Beckham allows it to run to Sheringham. Sheringham holds off Griffin. All the experience. Infield to Beckham again. Manchester United now enjoying themselves. Phil Neville on the far side to Sheringham. Giggs is back towards the halfway line, and it's back towards Giggs, but it's picked up by Beckham. On to York. York towards Sheringham. Headed away tellingly by Charvet. Beckham wins it back for the champions and likely cup winners. Now Phil Neville. Infield to Sheringham. All this action about 40 yards from the Newcastle goal. Phil Neville again. And that's at least a dozen passes they've strung together. Beckham looking to switch the point of the attack. Looking to the right side towards Dwight York. And York cleverly just fended off Domi. York back to Gary Neville. And now Scholes scored the second goal. On to York again. Scholes once more into the penalty area. Great run, great movement. Shoots, and it's deflected behind for a corner.
It hit Charvet as much as him stopping it. I don't know how many passes Manchester United put together there, but at this moment Newcastle are a little bit demoralised. The second goal has really floored them. They've got to try and dig something out from somewhere here. Let Manchester United start passing it around in comfort like that. You can only wait, for the goals to come in.
Corner from the right. David Beckham to take it. Right-footed. Headed away by Alan Shearer. Jumping to Giggs. His volley. A foot wide.
Good volley by Giggs. About 5 or 6 yards outside the box. On his right foot. He hit it sweetly, but it's just gone past the post. Harper was diving.
Well, it's not even close anymore, Jimmy, unfortunately. It's not even close.
Well, yep, Stam is actually...
That's what I said. Stam's going to come on. He wants to play in an FA Cup final. The game is won unless there's an incredible turnaround. And Jaap Stam will get his taste of the action. Lee to Ferguson for Newcastle. Ferguson gives the ball away. Giggs on to Sheringham. Lifted towards York. Mistake by the defender. Dwight York pounces. Running forward into the box. Left-footed shot, is it? No, he's still going. Defender gets back well. Played back to Rand Giggs. Giggs crosses. Solskjaer is there. Left-footed shot. Takes a deflection. Save by the goalkeeper. Cleared just in front of the line. No, it's pounced on by Harper. Oh, dear.
Well, it could have been any one or two or three players to score the third goal then, but in the end, Solskjaer had the chance and he mishit it. In the end, Harper really should have got hold of it, but he scrambled it, and in the end, he's got it at the second attempt.
25 minutes to go. The chant comes up champions, and, well, the double is theirs. Gary Neville plays the ball towards the halfway line. Speed heads it down, but behind Solano, and Newcastle look entirely dispirited now.
Well, Beckham just jumped into Speed there. The Newcastle players are asking the referee.
He got away with a very bad challenge, Jimmy, not long before the half-time interval, when his studs were up and he was nowhere near the ball, David Beckham. Davies hits the ball to the halfway line. Neat flick by Ferguson, but ahead of gets Spire. Shearer stretches, doesn't make contact, and the ball is out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in to Manchester United. We played 21 minutes in the second half. They lead 2-0, the champions. Goals from Sheringham in the first half and Scholes in the second.
Scholes has played well today. I think he's been excellent. I think Scholes and Beckham, which is good news for England, I think they've been excellent today. Energy, passed the ball, Beckham's switched positions and still played well. I think it's been very important for Manchester United.
Keane went off injured, remember. He'll miss the European Cup final anyway through suspension, and so too will Scholes. Solskjaer Down the right from Manchester. A yard in from the touchline. Tackled by Dummy. Ball breaks off the Frenchman. Back to Gary Neville. First time cross from Gary Neville. Sheringham cushions the header to Giggs. Into the penalty area, and Giggs couldn't quite control it. Charvet clears and Solano collects. Midway inside his own half. Changes the point of the attack. Good pass to Kitspire. Right of the centre circle. And Kitspire into the United half now, but running across midfield. Gives it to Solano. And now wide on the far side is Griffin, the right fullback. Speed is close by. Lee's nowhere. Griffin cuts in side towards the edge of the penalty area, but the shot is high. It's just behind. We're midway through the second half. There's going to be another Newcastle substitution, and to describe that and the rest of the action in this FA Cup final, Mike Ingham.
Well, Silvio Maric, who Manchester United were linked with for a period when he was at Croatia Zagreb, he's coming on, number 10, replacing Alberto Solano, the Peruvian. And a little shuffle here by Ruud Gullit, much pointing by the coach down there, but this is very much deja vu now. 12 months ago, Newcastle came here, the underdogs, facing the team going for the double, lost 2-0. The goals on that occasion by the overseas stars from Arsenal. Today, all England, Sheringham and Scholes, 2-0 to Manchester United, and the threat from Newcastle's point of view of even more goals. The ball is loose down the near side. Domy's there, faced by 3 Manchester United players. Beckham working so hard, and the ball is in the area, and Beckham this time hasn't got it away. Ferguson stabs it back, and Ketspire hits it wide with his right foot. Jimmy Armfield, having just talked about Scholes and Beckham, I'm intrigued about Alex Ferguson's possible lineup for Wednesday night in Munich without Scholes and Keane. Now, obviously Butt is back in midfield. Who would you play alongside Butt against Bayern Munich?
Beckham.
Because whenever he's been asked about this in the past, of course, Alex Ferguson's always quickly said, well, you know, I've got the best crosser of a ball in Europe on the right-hand side.
That's right. But well, you asked me, that's what I'd do. I think, you know, he put him there right away as soon as Keane was injured. Yeah. So it's obviously in his thoughts.
Although, interestingly, what we thought was the dress rehearsal team at Blackburn a couple of weeks ago, Philip Neville played in the midfield, and it didn't really work with Nicky Butt on that occasion. Now, Duncan Ferguson, substituting a final again against Manchester United. He was with Everton, but they won that final 4 years ago. Newcastle, I don't think, are going to get anything out of this one. Trailing by 2 goals. The real heartbreaker for all those Geordie fans once more away to our left. The ball with Manchester United, so much on top here as, again, Ruud Gullit steps out. Long ball played now by Philip Neville, deep into the Newcastle half. A good jump at the back by the Newcastle defenders, as speed is easily blocked by Scholes. Scholes is pouring forward for Manchester United. Finds Gary Neville down the near side. York and Giggs all in the area. Solskjaer and Sheringham there. Giggs lets it go through his legs. York flicks the ball back again to Giggs, and Giggs over his shoulder aims towards the near post, and a real flap there by the goalkeeper, and he concedes the corner kick, getting over Sheringham and also clouting him on the back of the head. Well, Paul Scholes loves Wembley. Last time he was here, he scored a hat-trick for England against Poland, and he's got the goal which has surely put this game now beyond Newcastle United. A double strike by Manchester United, another double achievement looming here, and Beckham now to take the corner for Manchester United. In it goes, headed well over the bar by Ronnie Johnson. Johnson and May both went forward, even though they're 2-0 up. They're looking for more goals.
Well, it was a great chance. Ball was knocked in by Beckham, lovely corner. Johnson came with a late run. Nobody from Newcastle went with him. He got a clean header there, but it's gone over the top. The Newcastle fans are trying to lift the players. They've really got to try and do something, because Ruud Gullit's running out to the side here now. Interesting to see Maric in there. It's been in this midfield area really where I feel they've been, the Manchester United just had too much for them.
Shearer gets the better of Philip Neville down the right-hand side for Newcastle, attacking the tunnel end. 2-0 to Manchester United. Shearer takes the ball to the dead ball line and doesn't get the corner, and he's furious. He was absolutely convinced he got the corner. There was just a feeling at the start of the second half, I thought, with seeing Duncan Ferguson winning 3 balls in the air and laying them off to Alan Shearer, that Newcastle could still come back into the game. But overall, they've been a very big disappointment. And I suppose, Jim, I'm told they didn't finish the season well either. And you can't just turn form on like a tap, can you?
Well, it's not easy. And the other thing, Manchester United haven't lost a game since Christmas, since December. They're full of confidence. So many international players, 20 international players. When you think of the players who, are not here, not in the starting lineup, they would find their way into quite a number of Premiership clubs, but that's the strength of Manchester United now, such a big club, the biggest club in the world. Manchester United in terms of playing strength.
And the World Service listening to us, 5 Live from Wembley, 2-0 to Manchester United. For the third year running, it looks like a team from the northeast is going to lose in the cup final. Ball stabbed forward by Newcastle. Can they produce miracles here now? Yeah. They've got a throw-in, have they, over on the far side? Andy Griffin comes forward to take it, much pointing by the Newcastle players, but it's a disjointed performance by them. The ball is played into the centre circle, and it's going to be Dabisas hitting it long, not too convincingly. That's a wasted ball by Dabisas. Again, it runs through to Schmeichel, and I wonder whether Graham Taylor can rejoin us now with your latest thoughts. Graham, can you see any way back at all now for Newcastle?
No, I think something quite untoward has got to happen to put them back in to raise their spirits. And as I said earlier, that Manchester United now are so much on top, and providing they just keep moving the ball around, then there'll be more chances for them. I just can't see it happening any other way.
Thank you, Graham. And foul by York. Foul by York on Dabisas. Free kick to Manchester United. So it was 2-0 to Chelsea and Hullet against Middlesbrough in 97. 2-0 to Arsenal in 98. And now in 99, it's 2-0 to Manchester United. And don't bet against them scoring another one either, the way they're playing at the moment. As the Newcastle substitutes warm up, Jaap Stam is also loosening up down there. Manchester United. Warren Barton is running up and down the line. We've got 16 minutes to go. Jimmy, listen to those Newcastle fans, though, right now. You'd never know they were 2-0 down.
No. Oh, Newcastle fans are terrific. They've always have been. You know, when I was playing, they were exactly the same. You know, the faces may have changed, but the spirit has never changed. It's remained unaltered. They'll get behind the team.
Dabisas comes back on again. The ball is on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area. And now Sheringham with a very cute little flick, finding Giggs, who's drifted into the centre. Giggs just parts the ball back to Beckham down the right-hand side. Beckham really relishing his role now. Long one from Beckham, aimed towards Sheringham, jumping over on the far. Sheringham's header on, and York just couldn't quite stretch. Out comes the goalkeeper once more, Harper, and throws to the far side. At times, Manchester United just opening up Newcastle here. Newcastle now looking to try and cross the halfway line. The ball is with the Welshman's speed. Little shuffle from him. Great. No, Scholes, I think the challenge. I think he just caught speed. He took the man as well as the ball. And so it's going to be a free kick to Newcastle just inside the Manchester United half. Attacking the tunnel end away to the left. Oh, Teddy, Teddy, they're singing now, the Manchester United fans. But not the version the other supporters sing around the country. This one will be something along the lines of, oh, Teddy, Teddy, you went to Man United and you had a ball, or something like that, I think. Now Domi of Newcastle inside the area. He's won a corner off Gary Neville. Corner kick to Newcastle down the near side.
The Newcastle fans cheer because the referee has actually given them something. They feel a little bit bad done by Mr. Jones today. I think the thing is that Domi, I think that was one of the plans really, to get the ball out to him on this left-hand side. He's never really got into it. When he has come forward, he has created the odd problem.
The corner kick is taken by Ketspire. What a great catch by Schmeichel. And the throw immediately towards York. York will just try and hold this, and he'll look to be joined now. Sheringham trying his dribbling skills. Finds Ryan Giggs. Back again to Philip Neville. And the crowd here, 79,101 in other words. Wembley is full for the All-United final, the last of the 20th century. One more final here before they dismantle Wembley. And now Philip Neville. Where they'll be playing the final in 2 years' time, if Man United are in it, who knows? The ball is back again with Harper, away to our right in the Newcastle goal. And he'll clear on the edge of his own area. 2-0 to Manchester United. As we move into the last 15 minutes, you're listening to Radio 5 Live and BBC World Service. 2-0 to Manchester United. First half goal from Sheringham, who came on as a sub. The second from Scholes. And it's Maric now playing the ball in, looking towards Shearer, but he hasn't got his touch right at all. Shearer has to give up on that one. Once more, Schmeichel claims the ball and throws to the far side.
The idea was good of Maric there, just overhit the ball. But Newcastle got to watch they don't lose heart here. You know, it's just they're getting the ball. There's no sort of confidence in the play. United are running
Beckham for Manchester United has a shot from a long way out, and it's been deflected, and he's won a corner, and Jaap Stam is coming on. Jaap Stam is going to come on for Manchester United. A little loosener before Wednesday, perhaps, for him. Desperate to play in the cup final. Remember, the Dutchman Dennis Bergkamp missed the final last year and was upset about that. Well, Jaap Stam will come on for Paul Scholes. Presumably Ronnie Johnson will go into midfield. Jaap Stam will come on and play alongside David May. And I'm just wondering here whether Alec Ferguson might also be thinking about another possible European option on Wednesday night. Anyway, Ronnie Johnson goes into midfield, and Jaap Stam comes on, and David Beckham takes the corner right-hand side of the field for Manchester United, leading by 2-0. The corner is headed away. The ball to Giggs. Giggs' shot is away by Duncan Ferguson. Falls to Shearer on the edge of the centre circle. There's no support yet for Shearer. Shearer tries to find Ketspire, but it's the Neville brothers taking care of business. And the luxury now that Manchester United manager Alec Ferguson can afford here. They've hardly had to break sweat here, really. Newcastle are also going to make a change. Stephen Glass, I think, will be coming on for them. Their third and final change. It's Gary Speed now to Maric. Back again to Dabisas at full stretch. He's given the ball away. Giggs down the centre. York is at the moment onside. Giggs hasn't seen him. He finds Sheringham instead. What a chip from Sheringham. Glances off the crossbar and over.
Well, that was lovely play by United. I thought Giggs was going to go on his own because, again, it was Dabisas. Gave the ball away in the middle. They've never looked right or never looked secure at the back to me. Anyway, the ball came through. Giggs played it on, and Sheringham, delightful chip, as Mike told you, from about 15 yards out. He's chipped it over the top of Harper, who'd come out to narrow the angle, and it's bounced on top of the crossbar. Anyway, here's young Glass coming on.
He comes on for Ketspire, who began the game up front with Shearer, then dropped back behind Ferguson and Shearer. Ferguson's now shielding his eyes against the sun as his goalkeeper Harper plays the ball towards him. He doesn't control the ball on the chest. 2-0 to Manchester United. It could have been so many more, of course. Sheringham was so close with a header in the first half as well, after one of the best moves of the match. And the ball is now with Harper once more in that Newcastle goal. The ball halfway inside the Manchester United. Stam gets up for the first time against Duncan Ferguson. The ball is picked up down the right-hand side and played in field to Gary Speed. Speed's on the halfway line. Newcastle need to do something very, very quickly if they're going to have any chance of getting back. 10 minutes to go. The goals from Sheringham and the recently departed Paul Scholes. Given away again by Newcastle. They've done that too many times. Manchester United with Johnson now in midfield. Finds York. York sees Giggs in space down the left-hand side, far side. Giggs with a curler into the area. Headed away by Dabisas before York can get there. Griffin can't keep it in over on the far side. And it's the throw to Manchester United, deep inside the Newcastle half.
Yes, Newcastle at full stretch, of course. They've tried to push forward to try and do something about it. They're getting broken down and getting hit on the break. And Dabisas made a spectacular headed clearance there.
Throw to Manchester United, thrown into the area. York trying to escape his marker. Clearance by Dabisas once more. Another poor clearance, though, by Newcastle. It falls to Beckham, 30 yards out. He tried to curl it in and actually was coming down well there for Beckham, but not quite enough. It just sails over the bar, and it's a goal kick to Newcastle with exactly 10 minutes to go.
You know, so much for people saying, you know, that playing all these games, Manchester United will be tired. When you're winning, you know, I said this, Mike, last week to you, you know, you never get tired. You can run forever. And Beckham, at this moment in time, who's probably played as many games as anybody this season, he's free, he's running round, he's running forward, he wants to have shots like that one, he's full of it.
Just got a television picture as well of Victoria, watching him in the stand here, Victoria Adams and Gary Neville. Posh Spice is here at Wembley, as you'd expect, watching David Beckham having a very big part to play in this cup final. Manchester United are 9 minutes away from another double. Incredible, 1994, 1996 and 1999. They're on the verge of another double here. Whatever happens in Barcelona on Wednesday, this is a colossal achievement by Alec Ferguson and his club. Schmeichel's kick for Manchester United, his last appearance in this country for Manchester United. The ball is now with Gary Neville once more. He's hardly put a foot wrong. I think we've mentioned Gary Neville, really. He's had a terrific game at right back, and now Newcastle on the halfway line, and it's Lee. Lee to Griffin, the right back, who's been much more under pressure than Gary Neville. Nice little exchange in midfield by Newcastle. Shearer and Ferguson waiting. The ball with Maric. In comes a terrific challenge from David May. And now Sheringham. Back to York, and Beckham's involved once more in the centre of midfield. Beckham's little ball down this near side, looking for York to make the run. Across comes Domi, and Domi can't keep it in. Throw to Manchester United, 15 yards or so. Inside the Newcastle half, Alec Ferguson looking cool and composed, as you'd expect now, alongside Steve McLaren. Knows he's almost there. 8 minutes to go. Ruud Gullit, by way of contrast, is standing arms folded, alongside Steve Clarke, his assistant, the former Chelsea player. Sheringham now, edge of the area, brought down, was he from behind by Dabisas? Peter Jones says play on.
Not like a foul, because Teddy Sheringham was winding up his left foot there, but the referee was very close to it.
Long ball, and Ferguson this time, Duncan Ferguson is not offside, but the bounce was awkward for him. Finds Maric, chance here for Newcastle, he's put it wide. That was the chance that Newcastle were looking for. If they were going to come back and stage a grandstand finish here, that was the moment. The Newcastle supporters holding their heads. Silvio Maric, the Croatian, had a chance there to set us up for quite a finale, and he couldn't find the target.
That was a sitter. That really was a sitter. It was on his good foot. Ferguson just caused one or two problems for United's defenders, and in the end the ball dropped to Maric. It was clean. Schmeichel came out and he slotted the ball past him, and it's gone past the post. Alan Shearer put his head in his hands then. He knew that was probably the chance that they needed.
He tried to place it with his left foot. He might have been better off just giving it a blast, actually, but anyway, it's gone wide.
Would have given us a good finish, that, right?
It would indeed. And now Glass getting his first real touch down the left-hand side, but David May, who didn't play enough games to qualify for a championship medal, is going to get an FA Cup medal, I think, to add to the one that he got in 1996 against Liverpool.
It's amazing, you know, the Kets-Byers missed a great chance, hit the post, you know, when Schmeichel was out of his goal, and now Maric has missed a sitter.
None of the chances have fallen to Shearer. Story of the game for Newcastle. Glass's ball in. Shearer can't cope with that. It's too high for him, and a little bit of ball watching over on the far side. And the defender creeps in, Griffin, and finds Lee. A little carelessness at the back by Manchester United. Good jump, though, now by Yapstam, and Alan Shearer gives him a shove and shows his frustration. And Manchester United have a free kick. And we've got 6 minutes to go. This is Radio 5 and BBC World Service. The FA Cup final history this century almost over here now. This will be the last final, of course. And Manchester United are on the verge of their 10th success. And that, of course, is a record. The ball is with York. York back to Gary Neville, ever available on the halfway line. Infield it goes to Beckham. Beckham slightly behind Solskjaer. Solskjaer, who's worked very professionally for the team today, out of position, down the right-hand side, ever since Keane was injured. Began the game up front with Cole. And a clearance now by Harper into the centre circle. Towering leap by Yapstam. The United fans like that. York back to Beckham. Beckham now to Solskjaer. Solskjaer plays it quickly to York. York now holds. Sees Sheringham taking up a intelligent position as ever down the right-hand side. Infield to Beckham. Little touch from Solskjaer. Doesn't run on to York. Newcastle haven't got it away, though. Beckham will try and get there first. The two number 7s together. Beckham and Lee. Beckham back to Johnson. Johnson at full stretch, finding Philip Neville now down the left-hand side. Philip Neville holds and then plays a little ball on the outside to Giggs. Giggs up against Griffin. Haven't really seen Giggs in explosive form here today. He hasn't needed to be. He's got a free kick, though.
Yes, Manchester United, the players must think they can't lose. You know, when you've come this long, you know, and they'll go into this match against Bayern Munich full of confidence, I feel, you know, after winning this match and winning the championship. I think they'll go into that match full of confidence, and I'll be surprised, if they don't win that as well.
It's a David Beckham free kick for Manchester United, leading 2-0 at Wembley. In it goes. Solskjaer went for a little flick. Newcastle partially clear it. Maric, who should have scored, gives the ball away on the edge of his own area. It's Ronnie Johnson, the Norwegian. Johnson, faced by two Newcastle players, digs the ball back to Sheringham. Sheringham tried to return the ball to Johnson, and Newcastle clear. Only Shearer downfield, and in steps Yapstam once more. England are 60 for 6 in the 24th over. Elam out for 5, needing 2-2-6. Unlikely 2-2-6 now to beat South Africa. Here, Manchester United are almost there as Speed finds Griffin with an excellent ball down the Newcastle right. Ball back with Speed once more. 8 players now from Manchester United are back behind the ball. Speed is running square with it at the moment. Maric gives it away. Giggs with an early touch finds York inside the Newcastle half. Giggs is going for the return and York doesn't find him really. Should have done. Eventually Giggs, though, gives it to Sheringham on the edge of the area. York is waiting. In it goes. Newcastle with Charvet. Almost loses the ball to Giggs 6 yards out. And Newcastle will clear. And they've looked vulnerable. They've looked suspect. They've looked brittle all afternoon at the back there. And that's why Manchester United lead. Long one now for Newcastle. Shearer with great determination, but Philip Neville's matching him. And finds Schmeichel with the back pass. And it's into the crowd over on the far side.
I think Newcastle have perhaps looked a little bit like that because, you know, Manchester United is such a good team. They're so strong, go right the way through, and they've got all these permutations of players. You know, and I think they will do. You can't afford to make errors when you're playing against a team like Manchester United. They'll punish you. They've made 3 errors, you know, and they've been costly. 2 of them have gone in the net.
Duncan Ferguson leaning on there, and the free kick to Manchester United. 2 or 3 minutes to go. 2-0 they lead. The goals from Sheringham in the first half, shortly after he'd come on for the injured Keane, and then the goal from Scholes. And when they lost Roy Keane so early on, Manchester United must have been very rueful. Do you know what I think has happened in the last few seconds? Alan Green's written his piece for 5 o'clock and thrown it through the window here. So you're going to have to write it again. The ball with Gary Neville, the wind has drifted it away. It's gone sailing down there. That's a souvenir for the Man United fans down there.
Got it. That's a priceless article.
Greeny has to show his creative juices once more now. And the ball is down the near side. 2-0 to Manchester United. Solskjaer. Is the time for one last moment for the champions, the defending champions. It's Solskjaer keeping his balance beautifully in the area. Across comes Charvet, and Charvet with a clean challenge takes the ball away from Solskjaer. Oh, Solskjaer, has he pulled up off the pitch? Or is he just pulling his stocking back up again? Well,
very honest player, Charvet. I think he gets caught too often, but he's a very honest player. He doesn't half gallop about.
Solskjaer sitting down. That's not a good sign for Alec Ferguson. Right at the end of this cup final.
Cramp.
He's got cramp, you think. Right, the ball is with Newcastle. And Maric, played back by Ferguson. Robert Lee, across the pitch this will come. Looking for Glass. Gary Neville's there with a header away. And Domi slightly out of position. York almost stole in there for Manchester United. Solskjaer off the pitch is receiving attention. Manchester United can't replace him now, having brought on York and Sheringham and Stam. And now Speed to the far side. Finds with great accuracy Griffin, but it's all up now for Newcastle. I make it we've got about a minute to go of normal time, plus whatever time the fourth official down there is going to add on. 2-0 to Manchester United. And all the noise coming away to our right from their fans as a hopeful ball is played into Schmeichel's penalty area once more. And Schmeichel is there once more to clear for his team. And just look at what Manchester United have had to do to win this cup. They've had to come through first against Middlesbrough, the last team to beat them. They had to overcome Liverpool, their great rivals. They had to overcome Fulham, who were flying at the time. They then had to put out Chelsea in a replay in London. And then, of course, those dramatic games with Arsenal. And now 2-0 up against Newcastle. Beckham to York and Sheringham. Sheringham, though, loses the ball to Domi, but it's not going to matter. We will know in a second how much added time. Maybe 2 minutes of added time. There can't really be any more of that. And there's no need for any more than that, really. The ball is with Beckham. And it's 2 minutes exactly of added time. Beckham finding Giggs in the centre of midfield. Johnson to the far side. And he finds Philip Neville. 2 minutes, the last 2 minutes of FA Cup final football this century. Manchester United so much in front here as Solskjaer looks to try and come back into the game. It's going to be another double. Newcastle with Domi. Domi holds by the near side. So disappointing this must be once more for Newcastle and their captain Alan Shearer. Domi across the field for Maric. Newcastle looking for a consolation. The ball laid to the outside. It's Griffin now just inside the area. Can Griffin pull this back? Schmeichel's gone down and has it been deflected? Newcastle are appealing for the corner kick. Referee looks to the linesman over on the far side and gives the corner down the far side.
Yeah, he gave a goal kick to start with. Then he's changed his mind. He's given a corner.
Well, it was Griffin's shot, but we've already played a minute of added time. In goes the corner kick. Speed gets above Stam. Headed away by Matt. He comes back in again, but Schmeichel's there to make perhaps his last save in England, playing for Manchester United. And of course, he will be the captain in Barcelona on Wednesday night in the European Cup final. The whole of that game on 5 Live. 7:45 kickoff. Manchester United against Bayern Munich. The third leg of what they hope will be the treble. Solskjaer, who's recovered from that injury, holds the ball by the corner flag over on the far side. Silence away to our left from Newcastle. A long journey back to the northeast it will be for the second year running. A very forlorn one. And Newcastle, it has to be said, just like 12 months ago, have been outplayed here in the cup final. The margin of defeat actually could have been much heavier than it's been. Throw to Newcastle, to Manchester United, far side. And they don't get very far, but they're not really concerned about that. They're playing possession football. It's a goal kick to Newcastle.
Yes, I think they've been definitely second best. They've made errors, Newcastle, but they'll go home, remembering that at 57 minutes, Kitsbaya hit the post. 83 minutes, Maric missed a sitter. And when you're playing against, a team that's going well, you've got to knock your chances in. And they've had 2 clear-cut chances.
Time is up now at Wembley. The final whistle goes. The end of the cup final of 1999. Manchester United 2, Newcastle United 0. The Manchester United players jump into each other's arms to celebrate their 3rd double of the decade. Peter Schmeichel shakes the hand of Alan Shearer. On come Andy Cole and Paul Scholes, and limping on is the captain Roy Keane, who will limp up those 39 steps shortly to receive the FA Cup. The United players all bonding together inside the centre circle with their arms round each other, jumping up and down. Schmeichel very much the fulcrum for that. There is ecstasy amongst those United players as they join now by all the players off the bench, Blomqvist and Van der Hau, and they are entitled now to be celebrating. It was black and white on the pitch down there today. There was quite a gulf between the two sides. Manchester United were able to get past Newcastle with Wednesday in mind, even by leaving out the likes of Jaap Stam and Dwight York from the start, and not even finding a place on the bench for Nicky Butt, their experienced England international midfield player. The United players celebrate. Peter Schmeichel is going around shaking the hands of all the Newcastle players. He will understand what they're going through. David Beckham is there as well, just offering words of consolation. Dennis Irwin in his suit and his red rosette down there is also adding his congratulations. Alec Ferguson's done it again, 2-0 to Manchester United.
Yes, I think they've had a terrific season, really. To get the double is a great achievement. I know people are saying about the treble, but to get the double is a fantastic achievement. But they've got the squad, Mike, to do it. They were a good team last year, spent 22 million on Stam and York and Blomqvist, and it's made them, in my opinion, quite clearly the best team in this country. I know people have, questioned that about Arsenal and so on, but I think they've got more in the locker than Arsenal, right through the squad. That's why they've, got to the double. The other thing is, too, I believe they've got the players, even without Keane and without Scholes, to beat Bayern Munich. I think they have. A lot of other people don't, but I think they have. I said today before this match, Mike, it would be a shock, I think, if they'd have lost this final.
There's a lovely scene just down there, the big bear hug between Alec Ferguson and Peter Schmeichel, just like last Sunday, of course, after the championship was confirmed against Spurs. And I suppose, Jim, just to carry on what you were saying, that with all this talk being about the treble,
yes,
there may not be enough time to pause and reflect and actually pay tribute to what Manchester United have done domestically, never mind Europe.
That's right, yes, they've been terrific, really. The Premiership has actually it's almost become a procession. How many times? It's 5 out of 7, and they've been second twice.
Yes.
The thing is, if you think about that in itself is rather incredible. It's an incredible situation. And if you were looking ahead to next season, Mike, what would you say if you had to put your mortgage on who's got the best chance of winning it? Where would it go?
Well, a lot of people think that is the weakness of the Premiership, but there are 2 ways of looking at that, of course. You could also make the point that Manchester United are setting the standards the way that Liverpool used to do. They are creating the yardstick for others to try and follow. A little bit of cash, of course, also helps, but now for the 2nd year running, it really is a deja vu scene here at Wembley as Newcastle players now just want to get off the pitch here and leave the celebrating to Manchester United. Alan Shearer was saying in the week that watching Tony Adams lift up the trophy last year really hurt, and he said he felt very guilty the next day when 250,000 people turned up in Newcastle to welcome them home. Well, it's going to be a similar emotion, I'm afraid, for him and Newcastle this year. They have, of course, qualified for Europe, and that's due to Manchester United winning the double. Newcastle will be in the revamped UEFA Cup next season. Prince of Wales just handing those runners-up medals over to the Newcastle players. They came here hoping to win the Cup for the first time in 44 years, but it's, Jimmy, 44 years and counting now.
Yes, it is. And I think the thing is, too, about Newcastle, I think we should say something about them. If they're going to get any real progress from where they are now, Mike, I think they've got to do something about the back players. They've got to get that sorted out. Until you get your back sorted out properly, I don't think Newcastle have. And I think until they do that, they'll continue to have what I would call a good season, but without being really successful.
Well, the elusive double, it used to be called, so hard to pull off. But in the 1990s, this club in red, Manchester United, have done it 3 times. 1994, 1996, 1999. Kino, there's only one Kino, the fans sing. Never mind Bayern Munich for the moment and that possible treble. Manchester United have achieved something that no other team has achieved. In the FA Cup, they're the first club now to get into double figures. Triumph number 10 for them. And here comes their number 16, Roy Keane, making up for the disappointment of the early injury. It might take just a little longer than usual for the captain to climb the steps. The Prince of Wales is waiting. The red and white streamers already attached to the FA Cup. Roy Keane, followed by goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel, arrives in the royal box. And Roy Keane, limping but with a huge smile on his face, is as keen as mustard to get his hands on this trophy.